Imagine spending 15 years becoming the perfect villain,
Building the tower, kidnapping the princesses, the whole 9 yards, only for the hero to tell you you're not a demon king.
You're a personal trainer.
Yeah, my boy Burge just found out the hard way that his life was a lie.
But he just hit the reset button, and this time, he's burning the rulebook.
Now he's been marked as a traitor, exiled from the demon realm.
And he's going to show the world that you don't need a guidebook to be a monster. Meet our boy, the Demon King, and let me tell you, he is not having a good day. Battered, beaten, and watching the so-called heroes standing over his ruined throne. The legendary black flames he was so proud of, the ultimate power of the Demon King, couldn't even singe the hair on this hero party. Talk about a product recall. And why could the hero's sword god just casually stroll up and poke a hole through his scales, straight through his heart? It's supposed to be legendary demon hide, not wet paper. He doesn't understand. How could this happen? He did everything right. He followed the instructions perfectly. You see, our boy, Burge Deus, was an overachiever, a real go-getter. He entered the Demon King Military Academy as the top student and graduated summa cum laude. This guy was voted most likely to succeed in the world domination category. He was obsessed with a little something called the Demon King's Standards, a theory, a guidebook, established by the very first Demon King. Think of it as villainy for dummies, and he studied it more than anyone. As written in the good book, he built a giant, ominous tower. You know, standard evil real estate. He kidnapped princesses, as one does. But here's the twist. He also developed the heroes who came to save them. To a demon king, their anger and sadness were supposed to be the best feast. But killing them too early? That's just troublesome. You gotta let the meal ripen. The real sincerity is shown by helping them grow, and then eating them. The stronger the hero, the tastier they are. Bro is stealing Pennywise's whole flow. He absorbed all the sadness and anger of the heroes and civilians, and became the strongest demon king, or so he thought. Back in reality, the hero, Cargill, flashes a grin that just screams, "You are an idiot." He says, "You demon kings always say the same thing. You're the ones who bring this on yourselves. Why do you always look like you can't believe what's happening? I just don't get it." Oh, the condescension is thick. Burgess can only mutter one thing. Bullshit, but the hero's just getting started. Bullshit? You demon kings always kidnap the most famous princess and conveniently leave us clues so we can come and stop you. Wait, let him cook. Then Cargill gets right in his face. Are you stupid? If I were you, I would have killed the king. Then the kingdom would be plunged into chaos, and the horrifying realization starts to dawn on Burge. If he kidnapped the king, the humans would fight each other for the throne. Their anger wouldn't be directed at him, which means he wouldn't grow as a demon king. Because it goes against the standards. The hero throws his head back and laughs. And that's not all. If we don't come to the tower, you send monsters to villages and train us. I can't be more grateful. But if we do come to the tower, it's so much easier. The first floor is full of weak monsters. Everyone gets to train at their own level and develop skills. You're not a demon king. You're a personal trainer. Our boy can't take it. His entire philosophy is crumbling. The heroes can't die halfway. No. In order to gather more energy, he was being careful. That was the smart play, right? That's what the standards taught him. He wasn't a failure. He was just following the rules of a game that was rigged from the very start. And then Cargill rips his blade out our boy's chest. When the tower gets boring, all we need to do is kill the Demon King. Then a new Demon King and a new tower will appear. It's a repeatable quest, a dungeon they can just reset. Cargill beams, absolutely shameless. It's the perfect hunting ground for us heroes, right guys? And the other heroes cheer. Of course. Thank you, Demon King. You're the best ever. You're more of a godfather to us. The sheer disrespect is breathtaking. They give him a round of applause. Thank you for your efforts. Thanks for giving us the best hunting ground ever. They're giving him a performance review after murdering him. Godfather? Me? The words echo in Burge's shattered mind. My tower is merely their hunting ground? The penny has dropped and shattered. Cargill almost sounds sympathetic. Still, you were actually quite strong. A lot of heroes died this time. But then he grins. Well, that's fine. I became famous because of it. And with that, He raises his sword for the final blow. Now, goodbye, Demon King. To think they can humiliate me like this. What the hell is the Demon King's standards then? The rage begins to boil. I can't die in vain. Not like this. I am a Demon King. A final, desperate surge of power. A scream of pure, undiluted fury against a fate he so meticulously built for himself. But as his life fades, the final insult is delivered. One of the heroes calls dibs on his corpse. Don't touch his head, okay? His horns are mine. Yep, he's not a king. He's just loot. Suddenly, a strange purple energy crackles from the Demon King's body. The hero hesitates, confused. Huh? A final thought burns in what's left of his mind. Even if I have to give up the last of my life, I will kill you all. And with that last curse, his remaining energy erupts in a massive explosion of purple light. A final middle finger to the world. The standard was wrong. If only I knew the heroes looked down on Demon Kings because of the standard, I wouldn't have followed them. And so, with his last breath, a wish is made. If I'm ever given another chance, screw the standards. De Berge Deas. He opens his eyes. He's not dead. He's standing in a grand hall, wearing a familiar uniform, surrounded by other demons. What the hell? His mind is reeling. The last thing he remembers is dying, humiliated. And yet, he's alive? A squeaky voice from a stage calls out. Berge Deas, come forward quickly. Berge freezes. That's his name. A small, imp-like official urges him toward the stage. He's in the Academy's grand hall, and all eyes are on him. This isn't the afterlife. This is graduation day. The director of the Academy himself steps in. Berge Deas, why is a brilliant mind like you acting like this on your graduation day? Berge recognizes him instantly. This is getting real. He looks down and sees it. A red badge. The symbol of a Demon King, given to all students who graduate. It's not a dream. Then it clicks. Every piece falls into place with sickening clarity. This is the graduation day of the Demon King Military Academy's students. 15 years ago. I don't know why I've come back to the past. But this is my chance. A chance to do it all over again. But this time, do it right. The announcer bellows, Summa cum laude Berge Deas. Please read it as the representative of your year. Oh, the irony. They want the guy who was just murdered because of these rules to be their poster boy. And there it is, projected for all to see. The Demon King's standard. The 6 commandments of failure. He stares at the words, a cold, dead look in his eyes. The Demon King's standard. I've seen this so many times, memorized it to a T. I did my best to follow these rules. And this is the trash that became the hero's trinket and led me to my demise. The memory of the humiliation, the laughter, the sheer arrogance of the heroes, it all comes flooding back, and his face twists into a mask of pure rage. The announcer, completely oblivious to the volcano about to erupt, prompts him again. Berge Deas? Please read the great Demon King's standard. Wrong move, buddy. 1. Refuse. The words echo through the silent hall, a declaration of war against his own destiny. The entire student body just short-circuits. You can practically hear the dial-up noises coming from their brains, especially the sheep guy. He's really processing. I cannot pledge myself to something so unbelievably stupid. Following the standard is foolish and fucked up. The Demon King's standard is trash. And across the hall, jaws hit the floor. The top student, the pride of the academy, has just committed career suicide in the most spectacular fashion possible.
Archduke Archiane Blarimf is absolutely losing his mind because Berge dared to insult their sacred rules. He's offering Berge one last chance to apologize, but we all know our boy isn't about that life. Apologize now, or get sent to Arian, the literal graveyard where demon kings go to die. Take your pick. The crowd is losing it. They know Arian is basically a one-way trip to the afterlife for their kind. They think death is too good for someone who dares to trash the holy standards. The hate is real. Archiane reminds him that dozens of kings have already perished in that frozen wasteland. No big deal, right? Berge isn't even slightly intimidated. He tells them to just shut up and send him there already. He's going to prove that their precious demon king standards are actually nothing but garbage. Archiane calls him hopeless as the deployment to Arian is finalized right then and there. Points for style. He's stripped of all his perks and forbidden from bringing any subordinates along. He's all on his own. Sentenced to stay until the occupation is complete, which is basically forever in demon talk. Burge takes it like a champ. He knew causing a scene would come with a heavy price. He's falling fast into Arian, the same place the heroes took his life in his previous run. Talk about nostalgia. He actually chose this place before his regression. He wanted to conquer the ultimate difficulty. His old arrogance cost him everything. Now he knows the heroes were just gaming the system. He hits the ground like a missile, creating a massive explosion in the heart of the mountains. Welcome to the Urgest Mountains. Cold, desolate, and the perfect place for a new start. He won't be a victim twice. This time, he's the one who's going to exploit the standards. Flashback time. The hero's standards. Let's see how this whole mess actually started. Meet Gordon Dyrek. He's getting ready for the biggest day of his young life. Gordon is the elite of the elite, destined to serve the highest-ranking demon king. He's made it. The rules are clear, the academy builds the kings, and the demons are trained to serve them. Regulations state the best demon serves the best king. It's a perfect match made in hell. The other graduates are green with envy. Gordon scored the legendary Burge as his lord. Gordon is all smiles, thinking he's about to serve the greatest leader in demon history. His glazing energy is reaching dangerous levels. He's obsessed. He calls Burge a once-in-a-millennium prodigy. The hype is through the roof. He's laying the glaze on thick. He wants his name engraved in history right next to his idol. Then Burge steps up and ruins the entire vibe of the graduation ceremony with one sentence. The shock on Gordon's face says it all. This definitely wasn't in the brochure. Burge screams it for the whole world to hear, the Demon King's standards are trash. Fast forward to the present, and Gordon's face is a masterpiece of pure, unadulterated terror. He's standing in the snow with his suitcases, wondering how his life went so wrong so fast. Turns out, those pesky regulations forced Gordon to follow Burge even into this frozen exile. Burge greets his old pal, but Gordon isn't exactly in a hello kind of mood right now. He wants to know why Burge would commit career suicide in front of the entire demon realm. He's tweaking because Arian is a death trap and he didn't sign up for a freezing death. Burge tells him to take a deep breath before he starts losing his hair over it. Gordon is way past calming down. He's having a full-blown existential crisis in the snow. Burge realizes Gordon used to be way cooler before the regression. Some things never change. Gordon pulls himself together and apologizes for his earlier breakdown. He's ready to do his duty. Rule 1 of the standards, build a tower, but don't hide it. The heroes need to be able to find and kill you easily. Gordon is back to worrying. He says this place is way too dangerous and hidden for a proper tower. Burge isn't moving an inch. He's building the tower right here in this frozen wasteland. He pulls out a tower seed. Plant it in the ground, feed it some blood, and watch the tower grow. Gordon is horrified. He thinks his lord is throwing away his pride and the rules all at once. Burge knows the feeling. It's hard to deny a faith that's carved into your bones, but he's done with it. He used to be just like Gordon, until death showed him how rigged the game really is. He tells Gordon to listen up, the Demon King standards are absolute garbage. Especially here in Arian, the literal graveyard for every Demon King who followed the rules. He activates the seed, sending a massive shockwave through the snowy peaks. He reveals the truth, Arian is swarming with heroes just waiting for a Demon King to play by the rules. The tower starts the identification process. Race, Black Flame Demonic Dragon. Name, Burge Diaz. Identification complete. Summoning sequence initiated as the ground begins to shake. Burge explains how humans realized the towers had a fixed mechanism and used the rules against them. He calls them Hero Standards now. It's not a guide for kings, it's a manual for farmers. A massive tower erupts from the snow, looking dark, imposing, and completely rule-breaking. Gordon is speechless. He's witnessing a level of rebellion that shouldn't even be possible. With the tower finally up, it's time to head inside and check out their new home. Welcome to floor 1. It's a bit empty. Actually, it's completely empty. No monsters, no traps, no complex layouts. That's what happens when you have 0 privileges. They make their way up to the 5th floor, the Demon King's chamber. It's just as barren as the rest. Gordon is trying to stay positive. Since the tower is built, they have to follow Rule 2. Rule 2, kidnap a prince or princess. Preferably one close to the throne for maximum energy. The higher the rank, the more demonic energy you get from the kingdom's rage and sorrow. Gordon offers some expert advice, hoping Burge will finally start acting like a real king. He suggests targeting the kingdom of Corzin, the closest neighbor with a high-ranking princess. Burge actually agrees to do it, which is more shocking to Gordon than the tower summoning. But there's a catch. Gordon has to stay behind and guard the empty tower. Gordon is overjoyed. He thinks his lord is finally coming to his senses. Poor guy is so naive. Gordon asks the big question, so, which royal beauty are we kidnapping? Burge flies off toward the kingdom of Hilderin, the southernmost nation on the continent. It's the farthest country from the tower. Not exactly the closest kingdom Gordon suggested. He arrives at the castle under the cover of night, floating outside a high balcony. His target, the 13th princess. The one with the least presence in the entire kingdom. He makes his grand entrance and breaks the news, "I've come to take you, princess." Princess Ernanna Hilderin asks if he can handle her. She's remarkably chill for a kidnapped victim. Burge Diaz is confused. Does she think being a demon king is some kind of joke? She happily tells him to take her. This is officially the easiest kidnapping in history. Burge suspects a hidden motive. Nobody is this calm while being abducted from their bed. Ernanna says she's been expecting this since birth. Princesses get kidnapped, it's just physics. She insists there's no trap. She's just a very cooperative hostage. Burge feels uneasy. Something about this feels way too easy. Regardless, he takes her. Time to head back to the evil lair. They arrive at Burge's tower in the Urgest Mountains. Cold, snowy, and very menacing. Gordon Dyrick welcomes him back. Burge is still lugging around his new prize. Burge puts her on the 4th floor. No dungeon for her since she was so nice about it. Gordon has more news. The life of a demon king is never quiet. Ernanna is left alone in a massive, empty hall. It's basically a warehouse with tiles. The reality of being kidnapped sets in. The floor is hard, cold, and very unroyal. No gardens, no servants, just a whole lot of nothing. But she actually likes it. This girl has some seriously low standards for a palace. Burge gets an invite from the Tower of Beasts. Smells like a hazing ritual for the newbie. Gordon calls it a welcome party, but Burge knows they just want to throw their weight around. Demon kings are usually too proud to work together unless they're forced to. Burge decides to check it out. Might as well see what the neighbors are doing. Arrival at the Tower of Beasts. Looks like a literal jungle theme park. Meet Draxen Doldorf, the demon king of beasts. He's a big furry with a huge attitude. Draxen isn't impressed. He's heard Burge likes to mock the traditional ways. Burge isn't here for small talk. He tells the wolf guy to get to the point. Draxen reveals Archduke Archiane Blarnf told him to watch over the newcomer. Burge calls the Archduke a noisy old vampire. Bold move for a guy in a wolf den. Draxen is furious. You don't insult the higher-ups like that and expect to walk away. Draxen throws a piece of meat on the dirt. Real mature move for a demon king. He tells Burge to lick it to be forgiven. This guy's ego is absolutely massive. Burge asks if Draxen even knows why he's really here. He's not following the script. Burge points out the orthodox rule, demon kings aren't allowed to kill each other. Then he just stomps on the meat. That's one way to send a message. Burge doesn't care about their traditions. He's making his own rules from now on. Draxen is terrified. That aura is way too much for a supposedly unimpressive newbie. Draxen quickly pivots. He was just checking if the kidnapping went well. Burge reveals he's already got a princess. He's way ahead of schedule. He even claims she suits his taste. Talk about a power move. Back at Burge's tower. Things are quiet for the moment. Gordon is impressed. Burge definitely showed the majesty of a true demon king today. Burge sends Gordon to check on the princess. He needs to learn how to use her. Being a non-traditional demon king is getting more troublesome by the minute. But he doesn't regret it. He'd choose this path over being a puppet every single time. Burge Diaz is done playing nice. He'd rather kick the bucket than bow down to those trashy traditionalists. He plans to rebuild from scratch, expecting a measly few hundred points from kidnapping a minor princess. But wait, 13,000 points? Either the system is broken, or he just hit the jackpot. Suddenly, he gets a video call from the Tower of Beasts. Probably not a get-well-soon card. It's Draxen Doldov, congratulating the newbie on his show of power back at the trial. The big wolf is actually impressed. He thinks Burge's rebellion was just a big brain cover story. Burge's not buying it. Something feels very off, and it's not just the sudden fan mail. Gordon Dyrek rushes in with a total panic attack. Apparently, the fourth floor is having a major crisis. The once cold, empty room is now a literal forest filled with butterflies and magic. Burge reaches the scene and is hit with a massive, what the hell, moment. The system status shows the area is being naturalized. His evil tower is getting a green makeover. There she is, Princess Ernana Hilderin, chilling with elementals like she owns the place. Burge realizes this is top-tier magic. This girl is definitely not a weak minor princess. He confirms his suspicion, she's not the 13th princess he was looking for. Mastering 4 elements? There's only one person in the world with that kind of resume. Surprise! She's the first princess of Hilderin. Burge kidnapped the one person he shouldn't have. Meanwhile, at the Hilderin kingdom, the news of her kidnapping hits like a bomb. Vua Hilderin is losing his mind. He's calling up every hero and the entire army for a crusade. The knights are ready to march. Burge just accidentally declared war on the strongest kingdom. Princess Ernana Hilderin hits him with a sly grin, asking if he can actually handle her. Burge Diaz is floored. How did he miss a mana pool this massive? She shows off her ring, a royal heirloom that perfectly cloaks her insane power. The princess asks if he's getting cold feet and wants to send her back. Burge knows if he chickens out now, he'll be the laughingstock of the demon world. He has to see this through. There's no way he's letting her go that easily. A status screen pops up, showing he's sitting on nearly 20,000 demonic energy points. He tells her it doesn't matter who she really is. Hostage or not, she's staying right where she is. Over in the kingdom of Hilderin, things aren't exactly peaceful. Vua Hilderin is losing his mind, screaming for the Demon King's head. His advisors try to talk sense, but they still have no clue which Demon King they're dealing with. The king isn't interested in excuses, he wants his daughter back, and he wants it now. One advisor notices something's fishy about the whole situation. He brings up the Demon King of Lust getting wrecked by heroes for doing the exact same thing. Vua Hilderin isn't listening, convinced it's just some new, arrogant punk. A report drops, the teleportation trail leads straight to the Urgus Mountains. The king is stunned. Who builds a base in a frozen wasteland like that? Deep in those mountains, Burge's tower is tucked away in the middle of nowhere. Gordon Dyrek is sweating, worried they can't take on an entire kingdom's army. Burge just smirks, knowing the Hilderin army won't even make it past the border. He explains the map, they're too far north for any army to reach without causing a war. No neighboring nation is going to let a massive army march through their backyard. Vua Hilderin realizes he's trapped and has no choice but to call in the Hero Guild. The Hero Guild headquarters stands tall, but it's not full of noble champions. These heroes are just mercenaries looking for a payday, and none of them want to freeze in the north. Burge planned for this, he knows heroes care more about their wallets than justice. Gordon is shocked at how well Burge understands human greed. It's almost like Burge has played this game a dozen times before. Back at the palace, the king is fuming because not a single hero wants the job. He finally sees them for what they are, picky profit seekers. Burge checks his points, realizing raw power won't be enough to stop an army. He remembers the taste of defeat and knows he needs a different kind of weapon. He tells Gordon he's going to sell his demonic energy for human cash. Gordon's brain basically melts. Selling the ultimate source of power for money? To a demon, it's like trading pure gold for literal dirt. Burge knows money buys influence, and influence is how you win wars. He arrives at Holton Work, a fortress city serving as the gateway to the mountains. Dressed like a common mercenary, he prepares to slip into the human world. The guards at the gate aren't happy, immediately tagging him as suspicious. Burge doesn't argue, he just tosses them a coin to grease the wheels. With the bribe accepted, he's ready to start the next phase of his plan. Burge, in his human disguise as File, decides he needs a local guide before exploring the city. He heads to the Scarlet Hawk Mercenary Guild, where the rugged mercenary captain is busy getting wasted. The captain brags that they just sit back and take the loot while the regular soldiers do all the heavy lifting. One of his men brings up the new Demon King, but the captain laughs it off as fake news. Even the news about the Hero Guild turning down the job doesn't faze him. He's convinced the whole kidnapped princess thing is just a scam by the king to milk people for more money. He cracks up, calling everyone greedy when it comes to cash. Suddenly, a dark shadow looms over him. Burge isn't finding the joke very funny. The captain hits the floor in a panic, wondering who the hell just snuck up on him. Burge flashes a chilling smile, telling the trash to clear out so he can chat with their boss. The mercenaries aren't about to take orders from a stranger and charge in for the kill. Big mistake. Burge starts handing out one-way tickets to the infirmary. He's moving so fast the mercenaries are flying through the air before they even realize they've been hit. One guy tries a sneak attack from behind, but Burge doesn't even need to look. He slams down the hammer with devastating force. Burge stops it dead in its tracks, his eyes glowing with pure demonic malice. The entire tavern gets completely trashed as he methodically dismantles the guild. The mercenary captain watches in horror, realizing he's staring at a literal monster. In seconds, the tavern is silent, filled with the groans of broken men. Burge looms over the terrified captain, offering him a deal, answers for his life. His first question is simple, he wants to know where the local slave market is. They head over to a massive, gated mansion that reeks of old money and human misery. The captain leads the way, his ego completely shattered after the beatdown. He shows off the cages, but it's just the usual human slaves that Burge has no interest in. Burge produces a fat sack of gold, asking if they have anything actually worth his time. The captain's fear is instantly replaced by pure greed at the sight of that much coin. Burge notes the irony, humans and demons aren't so different when they want something bad enough. They head deeper into the facility to see the special stock. Back at the tower, Burge had already explained his plan to Gordon, use human gold to buy what power can't. He's specifically looking for an elf known for their integrity, someone no one would suspect. His goal? Use the elf as a high-level mole to tear the hero guilds apart from the inside. Meanwhile, in the capital, the king finally gets some good news as Hero Hill and Cargill arrives. Cargill drops to one knee, swearing to rescue the princess and bring back the Demon King's head. He makes a dramatic vow to finish the job in the name of justice. Good luck with that, pal. Burge Diaz eyes a caged elven slave, thinking about a new plan to use him as a spy to mess with the heroes. The slave, Granada, has wild green hair and a gag, looking completely miserable behind the bars. Burge tells the merchants he's buying this elf, making it clear his companion is the one paying. The merchants are terrified as Burge's aura flares up, quickly agreeing to whatever he says. Burge tells them to clear the room so he can talk to his new purchase in private. One merchant grumbles but shuts up since the gold is already on the table. Once the room is empty, Burge steps up to the cage. He releases a bit of demonic energy to snap the lock open. Granada recognizes the dark power immediately and asks why a demon is messing with an elf. Burge offers the elf a chance to get revenge on the humans who enslaved him. Granada is skeptical, stating he can't trust a demon any more than a human. Burge promises him safety and freedom in exchange for 50 years of loyalty. He points out that 50 years is barely a nap for an immortal elf. Granada brings up the world tree, knowing demons usually want to burn it all down. He demands to know how he can trust a creature that naturally wants to destroy his world. Burge just gives him a confident smirk, ready to make a deal. He swears a sacred vow on the Demon King's standards to never harm the world tree. In return, he demands Granada swear on the tree to serve him for the next 50 years. Granada is impressed by the high-stakes vow and lets out a grin. The elf introduces himself, but wants to see the Demon King himself first. Burge doesn't skip a beat, revealing that he's the one Granada is looking for. The elf is completely stunned by the reveal. Granada bursts out laughing, thinking it's a joke that a Demon King would come all this way for a slave. He mockingly doubles the contract to 100 years if Burge is telling the truth. Cut to the 5th floor of the tower, where the reality finally sets in. Burge sits on his throne, reminding Granada that he's the one who suggested a 100-year deal. Granada is freaking out, realizing the legendary Demon King's tower is completely empty. He finds out there isn't a single monster guarding the place up to the 3rd floor. The 4th floor is just a peaceful garden, which is definitely not what he expected. He rants that the heroes will tear them apart within a year at this rate. Burge lets out a wave of raw demonic power that fills the entire room. Granada is pinned down by the sheer weight of the pressure, realizing this guy is the real deal. He remembers the disaster-level monsters outside were terrified to even come near the tower. Completely humbled, Granada drops to one knee and pledges his life for the next century. He waits for a grand, evil mission to begin his long-awaited revenge. Instead, Burge just tells him to go into the kitchen and cook him a meal. Granada's brain completely short-circuits at the mundane request. Soon enough, the powerful elf general is wearing an apron and chopping green onions. Princess Ernana pops into the kitchen, asking if she can help bake some bread. Later that night, everyone gathers in the dining room for a surprisingly normal feast. Granada leans in and whispers, asking Burge who the girl at the table is. Burge casually explains that she's the Princess Ernana Hilderin he kidnapped. Granada is losing his mind. He's yelling at Burge about how insane it was to kidnap the crown princess. Burge doesn't even look up from his meal. He just tells the elf to sit and eat, since that's the reason he bought him. Burge says the food is actually pretty good. Princess Ernana chips in, happily saying she helped out too. Later, on the 4th floor of the tower, Granada wonders if he's actually going to have to fight the heroes there. Burge clarifies that he wants Granada to be a spy in the human world instead. But first, Burge needs to see if his new recruit is actually worth the investment. He offers a handicap: he'll use one hand and no demonic energy. If Granada wins, he cuts 50 years off the contract. That's all the motivation Granada needs. He's ready to blow Burge's head off, or at least take him on with everything he's got. The elf launches into a high-speed attack, using all the mana he can muster. Burge dodges effortlessly, noting that for a former slave, Granada's movements are surprisingly sharp. Granada tries a sneak attack from behind, telling Burge he picked the wrong opponent in the wrong place. He manages to catch Burge's leg with a vine trap, thinking he finally has the upper hand. He goes in for the finishing blow, determined to win back his 50 years of freedom. Burge just smiles. It's a creepy, "I've got you" kind of smile. A terrifying demonic shadow manifests behind Burge, looming over the elf. He tells Granada not to worry, he's just making sure he doesn't accidentally kill him. Granada's face goes pale. He realizes he never had a chance. A massive shockwave rocks the entire tower, signaling the end of the test. Scene change to Horton Walk, the headquarters of the Red Hawk mercenaries. The mercenary captain is absolutely stoked to see Burge again, especially after their last encounter. Burge tells him he wants to hire the whole crew for a full year. He drops a massive bag of gold on the table as a deposit. It's enough to make everyone's eyes pop out. The mercenaries immediately pledge their undying loyalty. One guy is already thinking about getting a new squad. Burge introduces Granada as the man who will be relaying all of his orders from now on. Granada steps forward, but he's covered in bandages and has a massive black eye from his sparring session with Burge. The mercenaries look at their new leader and wonder if this guy is actually serious. Burge thinks about how these guys might look mediocre, but they're seasoned and easy to control. He sets his sights on Hillen Cargill, the hero who defeated the Demon King of Lust. He gathers the crew and officially announces their very first mission. Burge yells it out loud: they are going to investigate Hillen Cargill, the hero currently employed by the Hilderin Kingdom. Burge's tower sits isolated in the middle of a frozen wasteland. Burge Diaz decides it's time to grind for levels while his crew handles the heroes. He's broke on demonic points, so he needs a new way to power up. Enter the Spirit Blossom, a natural mana crystal that's basically a cheat code for strength. They're hidden deep in the Urgest Mountains, a place humans don't dare touch. These peaks are a gold mine for anyone brave enough to face the mana storms. Burge tells his aide he's going on a flower hunt. Gordon Dyrick warns him it's like finding a needle in a desert without a plan. Finding them is the hard part, unless you've got a professional radar. Right on cue, there's a knock at the door. Princess Ernana Hilderin peeks in, looking way too happy for a hostage. The guys are stunned. She really just invited herself. She's geared up with her spirit buddies and ready for a field trip. She's bored of the tower and already making plans to redecorate. Burge agrees to the deal, provided she actually finds the blossoms. Princess Ernana is just glad she won't be stuck inside all day. Burge doesn't do walking. He sprouts massive wings and scoops her up. They blast off like a rocket into the clouds. The view from the top is enough to leave the princess speechless. For the first time, she sees just how big the world really is. Back at the palace, her life was just a loop of studying and magic practice. She brags about being the only royal to ever fly this high. She's feeling bold and asks him to just call her Anon. Burge isn't having it. One more joke and she's headed for the dungeon. She gets to work, sending her spirits out to sniff for mana. It's a lot faster than doing it the old-fashioned way. Bingo! They found a live one. A rare hyacinth blossom, glowing with pure ice energy. Too bad a pack of pearl orcs already claimed it. Burge tries diplomacy, ordering the orcs to back off his territory. The orcs aren't fans of authority. They just see a snack. Burge realizes he was being way too optimistic about their IQ. Diplomacy is over. Time to turn these beasts into charcoal. The orcs charge, thinking they've got an easy win. A massive wave of purple dragon fire erupts from Burge. The screaming starts, and then it stops very quickly. A few stragglers try to go for the weak girl first. Bad move. Burge is just getting started. He snaps his fingers and the entire area goes up in smoke. Ernana can only watch in shock. These orcs never stood a chance. Burge doesn't even break a sweat. He's on another level. This is the true power of the Demon King. Total annihilation. Back at the site, the orcs are gone and the loot is finally secured. Ernan is totally geeked out over the Spirit Blossom's purity. It's basically high-grade fuel. Burge offers her a cut if she finds more. Suddenly, she's his most motivated employee. The mountain was a one-hit wonder. They fly back with Ernan completely drained from the search. Home sweet home. Burge's tower is still looking as ominous as ever in the snow. Burge admits he was wrong about the princess. She's actually worth the trouble of kidnapping. Ernan is passed out cold, surrounded by her spirit buddies. Being a radar is hard work. Gordon Dyrek drops in with a status report from their inside man, Granada. Hero Hillen Cargill and his squad are on the move, but they're taking the scenic route. They're playing it by the book, grinding side quests to level up before the big boss fight. Gordon's got a whole stack of standard counter-strategies ready for Burge to sign off on. Burge just drags the whole lot into the trash bin. He's done playing by the rules. No more trash mobs or scripted interruptions. He's making the hero's life way too easy. He orders Gordon to have Granada's crew help the heroes and gain their absolute trust. While they're playing house, Burge is going to give the tower a major tactical upgrade. His next essential hire? A dwarf. Because you can't have a proper tower without one. Gordon is having a full-blown meltdown. A princess and a dwarf? The tower is becoming a circus. One look from Burge is enough to make Gordon reconsider his entire life and career. It's not just any dwarf, he needs someone who can craft the best magical tools available. Imagine the heroes' faces when they expect level 1 slimes on the first floor. Only to be greeted by a firing squad of high-powered magical cannons. Overkill? Maybe. Gordon realizes Burge has officially thrown out the Demon King handbook for good. Before he can even process the insanity, the king has already vanished from the room. The realization hits Gordon like a truck. Here we go again, it's kidnapping time. Deep underground, we arrive at Wolfner, the legendary city of the dwarves. The sound of hammers hitting anvils echoes through the massive, glowing caverns. Meet Lozier Friedrich, the best blacksmith in the world, and the next guest at the tower. Burge arrives at Wolfner, the massive underground city of the dwarves. He's fought plenty of dwarves before his regression, but this is his first time actually visiting their home. He stops by the Midnight Inn to gather some intel. Slipping some gold across the counter, Burge asks where he can find the most legendary blacksmith in town. The barkeep laughs, admitting that dwarves love coin just as much as the heroes do. He points Burge toward a massive lift in the city center that leads straight to the high security levels. Burge hops on and heads down, bypassing the usual security checks with ease. He reaches the very bottom of the city, searching for the deepest and most secluded workshop. Inside, he finds a dwarf working at a forge, the heat from the furnace lighting up the room. This is Lozier Friedrich, the man Burge has been looking for. Watching him work, Burge notices that Lozier's skill with metallurgy is so high it looks like the mana is dancing. The plan is simple, quietly abduct the guy and get out before anyone notices. But as Lozier strikes his anvil, he suddenly spins around and swings his hammer at the intruder. Somehow, the dwarf managed to sense a tiny trace of demonic energy coming from Burge. Burge is impressed that a mere blacksmith could detect his presence. Lozier doesn't hold back, unleashing a massive pillar of flames with a single swing. Seeing the intensity of the attack, Burge realizes this guy isn't just a blacksmith, he's a hero. Lozier introduces himself as the hero blacksmith and vows that no demon will leave his city alive. Burge just smirks. For all that big talk, he can tell the dwarf is actually pretty weak. He drops the act and reveals his true power, pinning Lozier to the ground in an instant. The commotion draws the city guards, who come rushing into the workshop to see what's going on. By the time they break through the door, the room is filled with smoke and the forge is cold. The guards panic, realizing their legendary hero has been kidnapped right under their noses. Burge hides on a ledge with a gagged Lozier, who's convinced the Demon King is here for the princess. Burge tells him he couldn't care less about the princess, he just wants to know about the secret exit. Lozier doesn't believe a word of it, terrified that he's about to be part of a royal scandal. He starts sobbing, regretting his choice to live a quiet life just to avoid fighting guys like Burge. Seeing that the dwarf won't talk, Burge decides to try a different approach, a little bit of psychological warfare. He offers to let Lozier go, but only after he frames him for selling the princess out to save his own life. Lozier is horrified by the pure evil of the plan. He knows everyone already thinks he's a coward, so they definitely believe a rumor like that. Burge gives him a final choice: lead him to the exit now, or spend the rest of his life being hunted as a traitor. Facing eternal torture or a quick betrayal, Lozier chooses the princess's downfall in a heartbeat. He knows a Demon King's vow is absolute, so he feels safe enough to cooperate. He enthusiastically leads the way to the passage, making a face so annoying Burge actually feels sick. Back at the workshop, the guards are still searching the empty room in a panic. Princess Louise Werft arrives to find her workshop trashed and her favorite blacksmith gone. She screams at the guards, refusing to believe a legendary hero could be kidnapped so easily. Furious, she orders every soldier in the city to find the kidnapper and bring Lozier back immediately. And if they fail, she promises to personally pull all of their heads off. Lozier leads Burge through his secret tunnel, the only way out of the city. It's a tight squeeze, and Burge is stuck staring at Lozier's absolute dumpy. He tells the dwarf to hurry it up, but Lozier just complains that the passage is too narrow for a human. They finally emerge from the darkness, standing right in front of the Demon King's tower. Lozier thinks his job is done and tries to make a break for it, telling Burge he's on his own now. But Burge just laughs, reminding the dwarf that a Demon King's mercy usually has a catch. Burge doesn't give a damn about his previous vow, he's got much bigger plans for his new guest. Lozier realized he should have just sold out the princess and taken his chances in the city. The hero starts begging for his life, promising to craft the most powerful weapons in existence if Burge spares him. He even offers to be a spy, claiming that surviving is his only real priority. Burge agrees to show mercy, but only if the dwarf swears absolute allegiance to him. Lozier bows down, but internally, he's already planning to backstab the Demon King the moment he gets a chance. The dwarf laughs maniacally in his head, convinced he's the one who's actually in control of the situation. They arrive at the 4th floor of the tower, which looks more like a peaceful meadow than a demon's lair. His assistant elf is speechless, unable to believe Burge actually managed to kidnap a hero. Granada tries to chime in with a report, but Burge just tells him to wait his turn. Princess Hernana watches from the sidelines, hoping for a rescue that clearly isn't coming. Lozier finally asks the big question: if Burge promised mercy, why the hell is he still a prisoner? Burge explains that knocking him out and dragging him here was just a natural precaution. Realizing there's no escape, the hero finally breaks and starts tweaking. Burge just smirks, asking if he's really that excited to start his new job as a servant. Tears streaming down his face, Lozier forces out a lie, saying he's never been happier in his life. The Demon King likes the attitude and decides it's time to give his new recruit his first mission. He wants Lozier to build an army of cannons on the 1st floor to blow any future heroes straight to hell. The Ergist Heroes Journey Preparation Station. The heroes are getting ready for something big. Granada is keeping a close eye on them. The rumor mill is already spinning. Word is the new Demon King uses black flames, and the heroes are terrified. Burge's hologram appears. He's playing the long game to make the heroes lose interest. It's a battle of patience. He tells the elf to keep monitoring their every move. Granada is impressed. This Demon King actually understands how humans think. Back at the tower, things are moving along. Burge has a strict rule for the new floor: absolutely no mana stones allowed. Lozier Friedrich is sweating bullets. A trap without mana? That's impossible for heroes to fall for. Burge explains that heroes can sense energy, so they'll see a mana trap coming a mile away. He gives the dwarf a choice: figure it out, or he'll just replace him. Panic works. Lozier claims he has a tool that can hide all traces of mana. Burge isn't convinced. He thinks it's just a desperate excuse to escape. He snaps something onto the dwarf's neck. A head-separating tool. Talk about a killer incentive to stay loyal. Turns out it's just a mask to hide his face. But the threat definitely hit home. Burge spends the next month traveling through kingdoms to gather top-tier supplies. Everything goes straight into his subspace pocket. Preparation is key. Finally, they make their way back to Wolfner. Meanwhile, things are getting violent elsewhere. Meet Louise Werft, a princess with a short fuse and pigtails that match her temper. She's tearing through the blacksmith tunnels, furious that her prize craftsman is gone. She knows Lozier didn't just walk away, he was kidnapped. She threatens the Knight Leader. If they don't find the kidnapper in 2 weeks, heads will roll. She orders them to fill in every single tunnel the blacksmiths dug. She's not exactly the forgiving type. She looks at a broken sword Lozier made before he was taken. She crushes the blade. She only wants him alive so he can finish her weapon. Crazy lady. Little does she know, Lozier is actually watching her from a hidden tunnel right now. His new mask is doing its job, keeping him hidden from recognition. But she spots the secret entrance. She peeks inside. Lozier? Is that you? The dwarf is shaking. He knows he's in deep trouble. She starts cracking her knuckles with a terrifying smile. She thinks he went into hiding just to avoid working for her. She declares him her slave for life. The guy just can't catch a break. She lunges at him with a fiery punch to punish his escape attempt. A massive blast rocks the tunnel. But someone blocked her hit. She's stunned. Burge steps in, telling the dwarf to go grab his tools. Louise is livid. She wants to know who this guy is and why he's helping her slave. Burge just deadpans that he's the master of the man she was extorting. Louise isn't having it. She claims the dwarf as her forever slave and lunges at the masked intruder. She unleashes a barrage of high-speed strikes, but Burge is effortlessly parrying with his dark energy. He finds a gap and counters with a swift kick, keeping the high-strung princess at bay. Louise is stunned by the resistance. She's used to being the hammer, not the nail. She pours more energy into her fists, causing and smashes Burge across the room. Mid-air, Burge manages to get the upper hand, grabbing her as she tries to reposition. They trade blows throughout the room nearly evenly matched. Official intro, Louise Werft, second princess of the Dwarven Kingdom. She's a monster in human form. In his past life, she was a top-tier threat. She's strong now, but she was a legend back then. Burge could end her right now, but he's low on juice. Going all out would leave him vulnerable. Plus, her soldiers are closing in. If he stays too long, he'll be cornered by an entire army. Meanwhile, Lozier is working like a man possessed on a massive piece of tech. Burge is getting impatient. The dwarf is still frantically trying to dismantle his masterpiece. Behold the Mana's Phantom. This giant orb hides mana traces, exactly what a hiding demon king needs. The clock is ticking. Burge gives him 1 minute to pack up or he's dwarf kebab. Louise is back for more. Burge tells Lozier he's leaving in 10 seconds, with or without him. He's sweating. Without his peak demonic power, he's basically bluffing his way through this. Another massive explosion. Louise is relentless, throwing everything she's got at the cloaked figure. She's gone full Yandere, promising to break Lozier's legs so he can never run away again. Burge just smiles. He's not just taking the dwarf, he's taking the hardware too. Success. Lozier finishes the job just as the princess launches her final assault. She can't believe the dwarf had the guts to come back for his tools in the middle of a fight. That's the opening Burge was waiting for. He connects with a heavy blow, sending the princess flying back into the rubble. The impact clears the room, giving them a brief moment to make their move. Subspace pocket time. He vacuums up the equipment and grabs the terrified blacksmith. Louise screams that he's wasting his time, but she's just venting her frustration now. By the time the dust settles, the room is empty. The target has vanished into thin air. Her soldiers finally show up, only to be called useless slowpokes by their livid princess. She orders them into the tunnels, but deep down, she knows they're already gone. She's baffled. Was making her weapon really so bad that he'd risk his life to escape? Then, she starts to grin. This is the first time someone has actually challenged her like this. Louise goes full tweaker. She vows to scour the continent until she finds them both and makes them regret it. Back at the tower, a massive magical orb has been installed on the first floor. The princess is impressed by the size, but Burge just sees it as the ultimate trap for heroes. Lozier confirms the installation of Mana's phantom is complete and waits for the order to activate. The dwarf is clearly nervous, but Burge is ready to see if this thing was worth the trouble. The machine kicks into gear, spinning with a violent, swirling blue energy. A blinding light erupts from the device, forcing everyone to shield their eyes. A system prompt reveals that synchronizing with the tower will cost a hefty 10,000 points. Burge is surprised by the hidden function, but he's not about to back down now. He confirms the sync, watching his hard-earned points take a massive hit. It's official, the tower recognizes him as its master and converts its power source to demonic energy. Lozier is absolutely geeking out, even as the creator, he didn't think this was possible. To test the new security, Burge tells the princess to cut loose with any spell she wants. She happily unleashes a massive blast, much to the cleaning-obsessed elf's absolute horror. Burge observes from the doorway, making sure the tower can handle the internal surge. He notes that a spell of that caliber should be easily detectable from the outside. He steps out into the snow to see if the tower's new cloaking is working as intended. To his surprise, he can't feel even a single trace of mana or presence coming from within. He puts his hand to the snow, testing his control over the tower's energy. In an instant, the entire massive fortress simply vanishes into thin air. It's the perfect hiding spot, a literal ghost tower that only exists when he says so. He can hide the place at will, though the demonic energy drain is pretty steep. Still, having a cloaked base is going to be incredibly useful for what's coming next. Lozier is practically begging to tear the device apart to study its inner workings. The dwarf is obsessed, claiming he's never seen anything like this in history. Burge gives him the green light, as long as his traps actually wipe out the heroes. While Lozier celebrates, Burge turns to the princess with a special proposal. He wants her to face the heroes on the 4th floor, but she's hesitant about betraying her kind. He looks at her, wondering if she's really ready to play the villain. Meanwhile, Ernana is already debating which element would look the coolest in battle. He tells her she just needs to reveal herself as an enemy to fluster the heroes. She agrees, but she has one very specific condition for her new job. Burge waits, expecting something difficult, but he's in for a surprise. She wants to be introduced as his subordinate, even suggesting she could seduce the enemies. Back on his throne, Burge starts calculating the logistics for the upcoming invasion. The plan is simple, thin them out with cannons, then use the princess as lethal bait. But with over 200 heroes approaching, he knows he needs more than just clever traps. He looks at a corrupted spirit blossom, realizing he needs to boost his own strength. If he wants to survive the next wave, he's going to have to gather a lot more of these. Time to head out. Burge and the princess set off into the freezing mountains. But after hours of searching the snowy peaks, they haven't found a single blossom. This is their 3rd failed attempt, and the princess is getting tired of the useless spirits. Suddenly, a massive, clawed presence looms over them from behind. It's the Pearl Orcs. These guys just don't know when to quit. Burge is officially done with the surprises and is ready to blast them into the next life. But the leader has a weird request, he wants the Demon King to adopt them as his own kin. The entire tribe drops to their knees, begging for the honor of serving the man who almost wiped them out. Burge isn't buying the sudden change of heart, telling them to cut the sweet talk immediately. Turns out, they aren't looking for a hug, they just want to get strong enough to survive the frozen wasteland. They even bring a peace offering, a chest full of the spirit blossoms Burge was hunting for. No wonder he couldn't find any, these clever orcs had been hoarding them all for themselves. Their leader explains that in this brutal land, wisdom and negotiation are more important than raw power. Burge has to respect the hustle. A group that values brains over brawn is exactly what he needs. He accepts the offer, ready to give this tribe an upgrade they never thought possible. He decides to take in their leader, Krutu, and imbues him with a terrifying surge of demonic energy. A dragon mark burns into Krutu's chest, sealing his fate as a loyal servant of the tower. Burge orders him to roam the snowfields and grow his tribe, promising rewards far beyond simple strength. Krutu evolves on the spot, officially becoming the first kin in Burge's growing army. The rest of the tribe roars in approval, swearing their eternal loyalty to their new Dark Master. Back at Burge's tower in the Urgus Mountains, the final preparations are finally complete. Outside, the Pearl Orc Legion stands guard, ready to tear apart any trespassers. On the first floor, Lozier has finished setting up 60 massive mana cannons for a warm welcome. Higher up on the fourth floor, the princess stands ready with her spirits to play her part in the trap. Sitting on his throne, Burge watches his monitors like a pro gamer. The stage is perfectly set. He's more than ready for the heroes to arrive so he can finally pay them back for his previous life. Meanwhile, hero Hillen Cargill and his guide Granada finally reach the mountain range. The Urgus Mountains are finally in sight, but these heroes have no idea they're walking into a slaughterhouse. Welcome to Holton Walk, the last stop before the heroes head out for the big show. Inside, the banquet is already in full swing, and everyone is feeling festive. Burge, posing as the hero Hillen, thanks the fortress master for the hospitality. The old man is feeling generous and pushes him to say a few words to the crowd. He shouts for attention, putting the spotlight right on his star hero. Burge steps up, announcing that their long journey is finally reaching the home stretch. The heroes are feeling themselves, the lack of monsters makes them think the Demon King is scared. A toast to tomorrow. They're convinced they'll have the princess back in no time. Burge fires them up, asking who the real masters of the world are. The crowd roars for justice while the wine keeps flowing freely. In the back, Granada watches the spectacle with a much more grounded perspective. Burge has everyone in his pocket now, from the merchants to the nervous mercenaries. Granada wonders if the tower will actually fall as easily as everyone thinks. He shakes it off. If they win, he finally gets his freedom. Simple as that. He decides to step out for some air and clear his head before the march. Alone on the balcony, Granada pulls out a device for a secret update. Burge pops up with final warnings for the elf. Watch the snow, stay alert at night, and stay far away from the tower when it opens. Suddenly, Hillen appears behind him, nearly giving his informant a heart attack. He offers a glass of fruit wine, acting like the perfect, caring comrade. He asks if Granada is getting nervous about the upcoming fight. Hillen plays it humble, admitting even he doesn't know how things will end. Subduing a tower is hell, it never goes as smoothly as the heroes hope. Granada brings up Hillen's past victory over the Demon King of Lust. He wants to hear the heroic tale of that legendary battle firsthand. Hillen goes quiet, the mask almost slipping for a split second. He flashes a bright smile, giving all the credit to brave comrades like the elf. He promises they'll win if they stay united, playing his role perfectly. Granada seems to buy into the heroic act, at least for now. They head back inside to join the rest of the celebration. As soon as the elf's back is turned, Hillen's heroic aura completely vanishes. He stares at his ring, ready to use Granada as a pawn once again. Morning arrives, and it's finally time for the army to move out. The army marches through the gates to the cheers of the people. They enter the Urgus Mountains Gorge, a natural bottleneck perfect for an ambush. The weather is clear, and the soldiers think luck is on their side. They're joking around, convinced the monsters are too terrified to show their faces. That is, until something purple and disgusting drips onto a soldier's head. He looks up, confused by the weird slime, but his face is about to go pale. Ghouls. They're swarming the cliffs, and they're way bigger than expected. Hillen immediately switches gears, ordering everyone into battle formation. It's an absolute swarm, the gorge is crawling with massive, hungry ghouls. A frost giant crashes the party, and the heroes are already looking for the exit. This skeletal behemoth is massive, icy, and definitely not interested in a treaty. Hillen tells his team to scram while he deals with the big guy alone. He charges in without a second thought, total main character energy. Compared to the Demon King of Lust, this overgrown popsicle is basically a joke. The giant closes in on Hillen. He leaps onto its arm. He runs up towards its head, glowing with the kind of power that keeps the morale high. He signals for the finale, his eyes cold and focused. Now! His sword slices it apart in brilliant blue light, and the giant is officially history. He screams for everyone to run, playing the role of the selfless leader to a T. The path is blocked, and the heroes are scrambling like ants in a flood. A massive blast clears the way, but the tension is only getting higher. They finally stop to pant in the snow, looking like they've walked through hell. They groan that humans aren't meant for this. Yeah, no kidding. But the legend of Hillen killing a demon king is starting to look legit to them. They're starting to believe this guy might actually be their savior. Too bad the Pearl Orcs just showed up on the cliffs to ruin the moment. Hillen senses the demonic energy. The Demon King's welcoming committee has arrived. A massive blue orc boss steps out, calling the heroes foolish, subtle. Hillen calls them easy prey, but Granada is starting to get a very bad feeling. Burge pops into Granada's head with a simple order: watch the snow. The elf finally realizes that warning meant something way bigger than a blizzard. The orc boss vows that not a single one of them is reaching that tower. The mountains start rumbling, and the sound alone is enough to freeze their blood. Granada looks up in pure terror. How do you watch out for an entire mountain falling? An avalanche of epic proportions sweeps down to erase the hero party. Granada screams for everyone to run, but Mother Nature is moving much faster. In his tower, Burge watches the carnage play out across his monitors like a reality show. Welcome, heroes, he mocks, enjoying the view from his throne. He's not just playing defense anymore, this time, he's the one doing the hunting. Burge is chilling on his throne, watching the heroes struggle. He says he warned Granada about 3 specific things. The first warning on his list? The brutal, unforgiving snow. Outside, an avalanche wipes out half the army. The orcs really aren't playing around. Hillen Cargill tries to keep it together, ordering everyone to search for the survivors swept away by the snow. Second warning: never drop your guard at night. That's when the real fun starts. Monsters swarm the camp in the dark. It's a total bloodbath, and the heroes are caught completely off guard. Granada is barely hanging on in the chaos, cursing the Demon King for this endless nightmare. Burge just watches the chaos unfold with a smug grin. Avalanche by day, monster raids by night. Classic. 3 days in, and their numbers have been cut in half. Hillen finally reaches the mountain summit. But the view is a total letdown. There's no Demon King's tower anywhere in sight. Hillen is losing his mind. Towers are supposed to be huge and easy to spot, right? Why isn't it here? The troops have finally had enough. Sir Warden steps up and tells Hillen they're done. Hillen stares in disbelief. His grand hero's journey is falling apart before it even started. Warden walks away, choosing his life over a failed mission. The rest of the men follow suit. Hillen is left fuming. He's not ready to give up, no matter how bad things look. 6 days later, the group is down to just 52 survivors. They finally spot the tower hidden in a basin. Thinking they've finally caught a break, the remaining heroes charge straight into the open doors. Burge delivers his third and final warning: stay far away when the tower door opens. Too late. A set of massive mana cannons are already locked and loaded. Hillen can only watch in horror as the trap is finally sprung. A massive blast of energy vaporizes everything in its path. One shot is all it takes. Just like that, the head count drops from 52 to exactly 1. Brutal efficiency. Burge is actually impressed. Even that blast wasn't enough to bring Hillen Cargill down. Hillen is left alone in the hall, gasping for air amidst the charred wreckage of his army. He screams at the top of his lungs. This Demon King is playing by a completely different set of rules. Turns out Granada managed to survive that nightmare too. Small miracles, right? Relieved he's not alone, Hillen pushes forward. He's determined to clear the next floor. He tries to psych himself up, claiming a new Demon King is no match for a hero who absorbed the Lust King's power. Granada follows along silently, though Hillen is doing most of the talking to keep his nerves steady. The second floor is completely empty. Just a lot of walking across an endless hall. The third floor? Also empty. The silence is starting to get real creepy. Hillen knows something is wrong. An empty tower usually means a very, very bad trap. They reach the fourth floor and walk straight into a peaceful garden. This isn't right. Hillen is beyond confused. There's a literal forest inside the tower, and it doesn't feel dangerous at all. Granada is starting to get a very bad feeling about this garden. It's way too calm. Suddenly, a voice calls out from the shadows, mocking them for making it this far. A girl strikes a dramatic pose. She claims to be one of the 4 heavenly kings protecting the Demon King. She calls herself the Dark Spiritist and declares she'll be their final opponent. She's standing on a rock surrounded by floating slimes. Granada is absolutely terrified of whatever she is. Hillen blinks and recognizes her immediately. He calls her out as Princess Ernana. Ernana panics, desperately trying to keep up her villain persona. She's definitely not a princess, okay? She decides to stop talking and unleashes a massive vortex of dark energy. Time to witness the power of darkness. Hylan is shocked. If the princess is under control, she shouldn't be able to use such top-tier spirit magic. It doesn't add up. Burge lists off the hellish path these heroes took: pearl orcs, avalanches, and constant night ambushes. It's a miracle they made it. Between mana cannons and empty floors, they've been pushed to their limit, and now a crazy princess is the final straw. Hylan finally snaps, letting out a desperate, deranged laugh. He's completely losing his grip on reality. He's absolutely fuming. The princess is attacking her own savior? Fine. He decides to just destroy everything and everyone. Burge suddenly appears right behind Hylan, his voice cold and mocking. He asks the hero if he really thinks he has a chance. A massive explosion of dark energy rocks the tower, signaling that the real fight is just beginning. Burge walks calmly through the smoke. He's finally face to face with Hylan Cargill, and he's not even breaking a sweat. Hylan draws his sword, calling Burge a coward for sneaking up. He knows he's going to need every ounce of strength for this. He then notices Granada in the background. Hylan grabs Granada, demanding they combine their strength. He's looking for a shortcut to power, and the elf is his only hope. Granada gasps in horror as he feels his very essence being drained. This wasn't the heroic partnership he signed up for. Hylan stands tall, overflowing with stolen green energy while his companion lies broken and dying on the grass. Burge watches with a cold, analytical gaze. He knows exactly what Hylan is doing, and it's absolutely pathetic. Hylan explains he's using the Elf Eater, a forbidden artifact that converts an elf's infinite vitality into raw mana. Talk about a hero. He looks down at Granada with a sick smile, telling him the sacrifice is all for the greater good. What a total hypocrite. Granada can barely muster a whisper, calling Hylan a swindler and a fake with his final breaths. Burge actually finds it amusing. He loves how vile and lowly this savior truly is. This is real entertainment. He mocks Hylan, asking if he'll just return to being a weakling once that ring is taken away. Hylan isn't laughing anymore. Hylan laughs, claiming even the Demon King of Lust couldn't take this ring off him. He thinks he's invincible now. Burge just calls out a single name, Gordon. The atmosphere shifts instantly. Hylan barely has time to say, huh, before the world around him turns to blood. In a flash, Hylan's hand is severed. He didn't even feel a presence nearby. The speed was beyond his comprehension. Gordon Dyrick appears behind him, calling Hylan rude and noisy. A high-ranking demon doesn't have time for human drama. Hylan is in shock. He can't believe a mere demon took him down while he was using a forbidden artifact. Reality is hitting hard. Burge loomed over Hylan with glowing red eyes, ready to hit him from behind. Hylan is paralyzed. His brain is screaming at him to dodge, but his body is frozen by the sheer weight of Burge's power. A massive, terrifying shadow rises behind Burge. Hylan finally realizes he's completely out of his league. Burge grabs him by the face, silencing any chance of a final plea. I can't, Hylan thinks in despair. He knows it's over. Hylan looks up in terror, wondering just what kind of monster this Demon King actually is. He's never seen anything like this. Burge leans in with a sadistic grin. It's time for Hylan to take the beating he so richly deserves. No more hero games. A massive explosion of energy levels the area as Burge finally ends the hero of this story. Pure destruction. Burge stands over Hylan Cargill, the hero, who's now just a mess on the floor. He's actually impressed. Most people would be dead 3 times over by now. Orders are given, throw him in a cell and round up the rest of the survivors. Nearby, Granada is looking like a shriveled raisin on the verge of death. Burge tosses him a carrot, a high-grade spirit blossom for his service. The healing is instant. Granada goes from ancient to peak performance. He's stunned. He's never felt mana this pure or powerful before. A dwarf on the comms is losing his mind with joy over his new orders. Burge dismisses the crowd, telling everyone to get back to their posts. He walks away looking like an absolute unit, leaving them all in awe. Princess Ernana and Granada are amazed. He doesn't even look tired. Except, the moment he turns the corner, he's basically crawling. He hits the floor, gasping for breath. That fight took everything he had. Rule number 1 of being a Demon King, never let them see you sweat. He curses Hylan Cargill. The guy was a monster even for a weak hero. The 10 stars are the absolute peak of the continent's power. Burge admits he couldn't use his full demonic power without being caught. If Hillen was at 100%, Burge would have been cooked. He had to play dirty, triggering the hero's trauma just to get an edge. He threw him into a total panic, clouding his judgment. And when that split-second opening appeared, Burge took it. His one all-out strike finally connected, ending the struggle. He's just glad he pulled it off without revealing his true identity. He's officially broken the cycle. The past has been overridden. Now he's confident. If he can do this, he can change everything. It's time for some long-overdue revenge on the people who killed him. Those heroes are about to find out exactly who they're dealing with. Meanwhile, the human world is in total chaos after losing the tower. Investors are screaming for heads to roll after this massive failure. Hero Wharton tries to play it cool, begging for a bit more time. But the rumor mill is faster. News of the new Demon King is everywhere. King Hilderin is having a total meltdown over his missing daughter. Public morale has tanked. People think Hillen Cargill is already dead. Meanwhile, Burge is swimming in demonic energy points. At the Heroes Guild, Wharton is being grilled by the top brass. He swears on his name that he's not lying about what happened. The council realizes they have a massive problem on their hands. They decide to wait 10 days. If Hillen doesn't show up, it's war. They're planning to mobilize every hero on the continent for a final raid. Deep inside the tower's dungeon, things are a lot more grim. Burge walks up to the bars of his most important new asset. Hillen Cargill tells him to cut the crap and just tell him what he wants. Burge offers the hero a job. "Become my vassal," he says. Talk about a major career change. Hillen Cargill is stunned. He definitely didn't see Demon King's lackey in his hero contract. Burge drops some facts. Turns out, being a hero is expensive. We're talking armor, weapons, and heavy fees. Investors cover the bill, but it's basically a high-interest loan. Fail the mission, and you're buried in debt. Burge's smile says it all. He's got the hero right where he wants him. And that person? The captain himself, Hillen Cargill. The pressure is on. Cargill realizes the trap. Even if he escapes, he's a bankrupt failure who'll be running from debt forever. Enter Granada. He's the one who spilled all the juicy details about the hero party's finances. Cargill is fuming, but Granada has been working for the Demon King from day one. Talk about a double agent. Burge explains that humans will eventually adapt, but he's already 3 steps ahead of them. He pulls out a purple brain bomb called Armani's Orb. If a top hero switches sides, humans are cooked. Cargill has no clue what he's looking at, but he knows it's bad news. This orb monitors your thoughts and can pop your head like a balloon with a single snap. Burge gives him an ultimatum: accept the orb, or die. He's got plenty of other hero resumes on his desk. Cargill tries to play the "I'm too strong for mind control" card. Narrator: he was not. Burge knows the loophole. A hero can just choose to drop their mental shields. Granada is just enjoying the show. Cargill is having a total meltdown, calling Granada a deranged elf. Well, he's not wrong. The hero tries to sound noble, swearing he'll never submit to a demon. That lasted about 2 seconds. Burge doesn't have time for a speech. He literally forces the hero to swallow the orb. Eat up, hero. Granada is worried the guy might choose death, but Burge is a pro at reading people. Hillen Cargill is a greedy guy who treats his friends like trash for a quick buck. And a guy like that? He's the last person on Earth who'd ever sacrifice his own life. System alert: Hillen Cargill has officially joined the team as a Demon King's vassal. Welcome to the dark side. Everything is going according to plan back at the tower headquarters. Gordon Dyrick is running the numbers, and they aren't looking great. Money is tight. They only have 2,000 gold, while Cargill's debt is a massive 100,000. That's a small nation's budget. Burge isn't worried. He's already waiting for a specific message to arrive. He's talking about the Unison of Towers, a yearly reunion for all the local Demon Kings. He knows those guys have been hoarding gold for centuries. It's basically a giant piggy bank. Gordon is losing his mind. Is his boss really about to gamble with demonic energy points for cash again? The advisor has to admit, Burge's unorthodox methods are the only reason they're still standing. The invitation is here. Burge is ready to go swindle his seniors and show them how it's done. Burge arrives at the imposing Tower of Lies, ready to play a dangerous game. He steps into the 13th floor chamber where a major meeting is already underway. Burge Diaz, the Demon King of Flames, makes his grand entrance. Draxen Doldov, the Demon King of Beasts, greets him with a low growl. Reyna Soldian, the Frost Demon King, looks on with cold indifference. Yugur Belva, the Titan Demon King, is clearly unimpressed by the newcomer. Finally, the host Jason Kochman welcomes Burge with a creepy smile. Burge doesn't hold back, calling them all fools for forming a pathetic alliance. Yugur slams his fist down, demanding to know who this upstart thinks he is. The Titan lunges forward, but Burge just dares him to try his luck. Before things get bloody, Jason stops the fight with a single, sharp clap. He reminds everyone they're here to talk about cooperation, not kill each other. Burge is secretly impressed. Jason just erased the killing intent of two demon kings. Yugur backs off, but the atmosphere remains thick with mutual distrust. Burge takes his seat, knowing he needs to keep his guard up. With the room silenced, Jason prepares to kick off the discussion. Draxen cuts to the chase, demanding to know what happened to the missing Demon King Cargill. Burge prepares his cover story, keeping his face perfectly neutral. Meanwhile, in the aide's reception room, the tension is just as high. Burge's assistant is sweating bullets, trying to stick to the script. The other aides are skeptical. Rumors about Burge's tower are already spreading. Back at the table, Burge Sly seems to be holding for now. He previously told his assistant to play dumb if anyone asked questions. The assistant realizes just how much she's risking for her boss. He starts a full-on rant about how troublesome and reckless Burge really is. Honestly, screaming about her boss's incompetence feels surprisingly good. Turns out, all the aides have something to complain about when it comes to their demon kings. The venting session actually makes his cover story more believable. Back in the main room, the interrogation continues. Yugur is livid. He can't believe Cargill failed before even reaching the tower. Burge just shrugs it off. He puts his tower where he wants, end of story. Jason asks the real question, why would a top student leave his tower undefended? He knows Burge was the top of his class and shouldn't be making rookie mistakes. Burge tells him to mind his own business. He's got everything under control. This constant prying is starting to get on his last nerve. Jason backs off with a laugh, but the suspicion remains. Draxen is sick of the attitude and wants to move things along. Burge knows he's making them suspicious, but it's better than being exposed. He hasn't forgotten why he's here. He needs to walk away with 100,000 gold. The Demon Kings continue their power games, oblivious to his real plan. Burge stays quiet, gathering intel on who's actually running low on energy. He catches Reyna's calculated gaze as the meeting drags on. Burge is caught completely off guard by the unexpected invitation. The two of them step out onto the 13th floor balcony of the Tower of Lies for some privacy. Reyna Soldian drops the act and says she's been wanting to talk to him one-on-one. She actually agrees with some of his points, which is the last thing he expected from her. Burge is immediately suspicious. Is this cold demon queen actually for real? She explains that while she lives by the standards, she's not as rigid as the other idiots. Reyna believes demon kings need to be flexible to survive in a place like Arian. She gives him a rare nod of respect, admitting he looks better than she first thought. To seal their new alliance, she hands over a personal transmitter so they can stay in touch. Then she asks him the real question, what does he think about the guy who invited them all? Reyna admits she can't read Burge at all, but at least he's smarter than Yugur and Draxen. With that, she heads back inside, leaving him with an unexpected gain and a lot to think about. Burge stares at the device. He doesn't fully trust her, but she's a useful asset to have. Meanwhile, back at Burge's own tower, things are actually looking surprisingly peaceful. Princess Ernana has been busy in the kitchen, offering some freshly baked cookies to Lozier Frederick. She even roped in some elemental spirits to help her master the oven. Lozier is moved to tears that a princess would work this hard just to bake for him. He braces himself, ready to lie and say they're delicious even if they taste like charcoal. One bite and his soul practically leaves his body from the shock. It's not just good, it's a spiritual experience that moves his very mana. Lozier is overwhelmed. He's never tasted anything so heavenly in his entire life. The secret? Ernana used spirit blossoms in the dough. Talk about a high-tier snack. She gives him a sweet smile, mentioning they'll be seeing each other for a long time. She's already planning to share the next batch with Granada. But her real hope is that even the Demon King himself might actually enjoy a treat. Back at the Tower of Lies, the main meeting hall is finally empty. Jason Cockmund is the only one left, and he invites Burge for a private chat over tea. He cuts straight to the chase, revealing he knows Burge is desperate for human money. Burge's heart stops. How the hell did Jason manage to find out about his secret hustle? Jason claims Draxon told him. He drops the mind games and offers a massive pile of gold to strike a deal with Burge. Burge isn't buying it. He wants to know what the guy is really after. He just laughs it off, insisting he's a friend who wants to get along. He delivers a mountain of treasure to the tower's first floor, buying his way in. Burge hands over 100,000 gold to Cargill, telling him to use it but hide the source. He warns Jason that tracing the money could turn them into someone else's puppets. Burge stays cautious, since the visitor's true agenda remains a total mystery. He reveals he's converted the merchant's men into a force of black knights and mages. The guild members are miserable, realizing they're now forced slaves of a demon king. Cargill wonders if he can still act like a hero while drowning in massive debt. He tries to act tough, calling Burge a business partner to keep some dignity. Burge scoffs at the idea of partners and pulls out a cursed, glowing orb. He activates Armani's orb, directly targeting Cargill's mind and soul. He screams in agony as Burge makes it clear, he's a slave, not an equal. Burge walks away, leaving the broken knight gasping for air on the floor. Princess Ernanna enters just as the training session wraps up. She asks Jason to deliver a personal letter to her younger sister, Elena. Cargill is stunned. Delivering this to the 13th princess is a suicide mission. He tries to refuse, but Ernanna mentions the royal family's dark secret. He realizes she knows a truth that would shake the entire kingdom to its core. Far away in the snowy peaks, Burge Tower looms over the landscape. Burge discusses the next phase of his plan with his advisor, Gordon. Gordon is skeptical that a hero like Jason will actually follow orders. Burge knows Cargill isn't obsessed with money or noble honor like most humans. He recalls Jason grandstanding at a press conference for the cameras. The knight's true addiction is popularity, something he'll do anything to keep. Burge intends to turn him into the ultimate spy within the hero's circle. Gordon is amazed at how deeply his master has analyzed human nature. A hero destroying society from the inside is a sight Burge can't wait to see. A sudden knock at the door breaks the tension in the throne room. Ernanna peeks in with her small spirits, offering a tray of homemade cookies. Burge maintains his scary persona, threatening her with prison if they taste bad. He takes a reluctant bite, fully expecting a bland human dessert. The taste is so incredible it sends a literal shock through his system. Ernanna waits with bated breath, desperate for his approval. Burge is visibly sweating, struggling to admit a human could bake this well. She reveals she used spirit blossoms, which explain the dangerous flavor. Burge realizes she's returning the favor for the reward he gave her earlier. She lets out a satisfied giggle, thrilled that her little plan worked and demanding something else. Elsewhere, Cargill's party begins their descent, escorted by the demon Krutu. They reach a magic circle and depart immediately for the kingdom of Hilderin. Back at the Scarlet Hawk headquarters, things are looking pretty grim for the hired help. Granada is busy handing out some discipline to his cowardly subordinates. He's fuming that everyone ditched him during the blizzard, leaving him to freeze alone. The guy on the receiving end is just crying about survival, but the captain isn't feeling merciful. The beating stops when a new challenger suddenly walks through the front door. Meet Guy Jespine, a hero who clearly didn't get the memo that the raid was cancelled. She's all business, asking to join the hero's journey even though she's late to the party. Granada is slightly less annoyed once he hears she's the one who paid off his bar tabs. But money can't buy a time machine, the other heroes have already packed up and left town. Keed is desperate, begging for any intel on why the mission failed so spectacularly. The sun sets over Holton Walk as they settle in for a nice, long chat about their defeat. Granada shares just enough info to satisfy her curiosity without getting himself killed by his boss. She leaves a few coins as thanks, but Granada can tell she has no idea how the real world works. He laughs her off as a rookie hero who'll probably get stabbed in the back by next week. Keed walks off into the city, unaware she's being watched by her new friend. Granada follows her into a deserted alleyway to see what this noble brat is really up to. He watches as a group of knights corners her, demanding she return to her fiancé. She refuses, choosing the life of a hero over a royal wedding. Granada hides behind a corner, using a magic mask to keep his face from being recognized. He pieces it together, this rookie hero is actually a runaway princess. Interesting. But his spying mission gets cut short when a cold blade suddenly touches his neck. A knight catches him red-handed, demanding to know why he's lurking in the shadows. Granada starts sweating. If he's unmasked, his cover as a demon's vassal is blown. The knight isn't looking for excuses, threatening to end him right then and there. An explosion rocks the castle hallway as a small figure makes a desperate break for it. Granada sprints through the smoke, trying his best to lose the knights on his tail. The guards scream about an assassin, telling their princess to fall back for safety. The elf is in a bind. If he uses his magic now, his identity will be exposed to everyone. The knights close in, certain they've finally cornered their target. With no other options left, Granada prepares to unleash his hidden elven powers. Suddenly, a familiar voice mocks him, asking why the hell he's so late. A dark blade slams into the ground, sending shockwaves through the entire room. Burj Diaz drops in from above, looking every bit the terrifying Demon King. Granada is more annoyed than scared, while his boss just tells him to walk off his wounds. The knights panic, convinced the Demon King is there to kidnap their princess. Burj genuinely shocked to learn the girl in armor is actually royalty. He thinks back to a lucky coincidence that happened earlier in his tower. Princess Ernana Hilderin had approached him with a very specific request. She needed seneal powder, the secret ingredient for high-level spirit contracts. Centuries ago, an elf named Seneal defected and created the powerful formula. It was designed to bridge the gap, helping humans form contracts with spirits. This powder is basically a cheat code for mastering massive amounts of mana. Burj thinks she's talented enough already, but Ernana insists the tower's mana is too low. He sees right through her, she's trying to land a high-ranking spirit years ahead of schedule. In her past life, she didn't pull this off until she was 27. Now she's doing it at 20, and Burj realizes he's raising a future powerhouse. As long as it boosts the tower's strength, he's happy to let her snack on his cookies. But for now, he has his own business to settle on the battlefield. Back in the present, Ki Jespine stares up in horror at the monster in front of her. She doesn't back down, meeting his dark energy with her own bright hero aura. Burj just watches with a bored expression, completely unimpressed by her display. Keat steps forward, her light flaring as she prepares to lead the charge. To her, heroes are the natural enemies of demon kings, meant to destroy them. She lunges, unleashing her family's ultimate technique, the Crescent Moon Slash. It's a legendary move reserved only for the Empire's greatest swordsmen. She remembers when her father sold her off like a pawn to marry a disgusting old king. The thought of that pervert was enough to drive her into becoming a warrior. She trained until she bled just to be seen as more than a royal bargaining chip. If she can take down a demon king, her father will finally have to acknowledge her. This single victory is her only ticket to freedom from her family's orders. With everything on the line, she pushes her aura to its absolute limit. Burj doesn't even flinch, stopping the glowing blade with his bare hand. He smirks, admitting her sword skills aren't half bad for a human princess. Keat freezes in terror as her strongest attack is neutralized with zero effort. The Demon King begins to channel a massive amount of power, taunting her to survive. Facing his true might, the princess realizes she's completely out of her league. Burj smirks. A princess who's also a hero? That's what he calls a 2-for-1 special. Ki Jespine can only stare in mute horror as the monster looms over her. Outside, the knights are losing their minds, screaming as they realize their princess is gone. A massive explosion rocks the city, signaling the Demon King's successful getaway. The capital is in total shambles. Citizens are terrified that a demon struck their home. An enormous crater is all that's left behind, leaving the surviving guards baffled. Word spreads like wildfire, the 9th Imperial Princess has been snatched by a monster. Panic grips the streets as rumors point toward the Demon King of the Urgest Mountains. Miles away, the Tower of Burj Diaz stands hidden amidst the frozen peaks. In the cold underground prison, Ki Jespine finally wakes up, battered and bruised. Ernana is the first face she sees, genuinely asking if she's the Seneal person Burj mentioned. Burj tells his first prisoner to play nice, he just picked up a new roommate for her. He casually explains that kidnapping royals is just a routine job for farming points. Then he freezes, realizing he's just leaked top-secret info to a literal prisoner. Awkwardly changing the subject, he promises to fetch some spirit powder and bails. He scolds himself for getting too comfortable. She's a prisoner, not a friend. News of the kidnapping reaches the Empire, and everyone is out for demonic blood. At the Heroes Guild headquarters, the atmosphere is thick with tension and blame. Hero Hillen Cargill bows his head, taking the fall for losing track of the tower. The Shadow Council wonders if they should just wipe the mountains off the map. The Empire is demanding a full-scale rescue mission for their lost princess. Hillen Cargill plays it smart, advising them to send a small scouting unit instead. He mocks the Demon King, claiming any monster hiding in a tower must be a weakling. The council buys it hook, line, and sinker. They think Burge is just a lucky coward. With the full assault postponed, the guild settles for a slow reconnaissance mission. Hillen walks out, satisfied that his subtle manipulation worked like a charm. Turns out, he's already been turned. Burge watches his new vassal from the shadows. The Demon King is relieved. A full-scale raid right now would have ended his run. With Hillen and Granada working on the outside, Burge's cover is solid for now. He eyes his newest prisoner's stats, wondering how to turn her into real firepower. Inside the tower, the dwarf handles the upgrades while Krutu expands their dark influence. The plan is simple: turn the tower into a fortress no hero would dare to touch. Burge's eyes glow. It's finally time to take revenge on the heroes who killed him. But first, he needs to hit up the Magitech city for that spirit powder. The place is called Kammer, and it's basically the lion's den for mages and heroes. Infiltrating the most advanced city on the continent? Yeah, this is gonna be hard. On the outskirts of the world's best magic market sits this shabby little junk shop. The owner, Jettison, is busy complaining to his newspaper about how the world is going to hell. The bell rings, and it's time for him to put on his fake professional face. Burge Diaz walks in looking for senile powder, but he knows exactly what kind of dive this is. Aachen Kingdom is basically the holy grail for magic engineering, crawling with high-level mages. That's exactly why Burge picked this empty dump, too much risk getting spotted in the fancy shops. Jettison starts his pitch immediately, claiming he's got a special deal just for a lucky guy like him. Burge isn't an idiot. He points out that real senile powder definitely isn't purple. The scammer leans in, whispering that it's a super rare, confidential version from the Mage's Tower. He thinks he's about to rob a rich noble blind and can't wait to turn Burge's pockets inside out. The door swings open again, and Jettison switches back to his overly enthusiastic welcome. Two more guests arrive, a grumpy dwarf and a girl in red pigtails who looks like a walking headache. The girl asks if he's seen someone, and her tone is already screaming, "Zero patience." Burge recognizes those pigtails and that nasty attitude instantly. It's Louise Werft, the crazy hound. Jettison tries his usual memory loss scam, telling them he only remembers things if he makes a sale. Bad move. Louise doesn't negotiate, she just pulls a blade and starts threatening murder. The shopkeeper's smugness turns to pure terror as he begs her to just buy something instead. He tries to play it off as a joke, but his face says he's 1 second away from getting stabbed. Louise just bursts out laughing, finding his desperate attempt to stay in character hilarious. He pushes the same fake purple powder on her, calling it Artshaw powder and tripling the price. She drops 3 gold like it's nothing and asks if he's seen a dwarf named Lozier around. Jettison lies through his teeth about not knowing the name and sends them to a shop in the square. The duo heads out, leaving Burge alone with the most successful con artist in the kingdom. Jettison is stoked, bragging about how he just sold literal trash to a noble for top dollar. The guy is so bold he even offers to teach Burge his scamming secrets for 10 gold. Burge actually respects the hustle. A guy this good at lying is exactly what he needs. He tells the shopkeeper to join the Golden Moon Merchant Guild, since this place is going bankrupt anyway. Jettison isn't interested until Burge asks him if he knows who he just scammed. A bottle shatters on the table as Burge drops the name, Louise Werft. The realization that he just ripped off the crazy hound has Jettison shaking like a leaf. Burge offers him a job and protection, or he can just go fetch Louise and let her finish the job. Jettison is straight up begging now, terrified of what that crazy princess will do to him. He tries to call the bluff, thinking there's no way Burge would actually bring her back. He even gets a bit brave, shouting that a princess would never step foot in a place like this. Burge just gives a casual "sure" and walks out, leaving the man to his fate. Then, a massive fiery aura appears at the door. Guess who's back? Jettison's face says it all. He knows he's absolutely screwed. As Burge walks away, he hears a terrified, "Come again," echoing from the shop. He looks at the green powder he secured. Turns out even scammers keep the good stuff in the back. Louise catches up to him outside, looking surprisingly satisfied for once. She thanks him for the tip, happy that she managed to get her refund. Still, she's fuming that the law stopped her from doing more than just a light beating. Burge is still shaking his head over how short-tempered Louise is, but a realization starts to click. He remembers something about a heart, a piece of the puzzle he's been missing until now. He cuts through the noise, asking if they're searching for a blacksmith named Lozier. Louise practically jumps him for answers. He pulls out a necklace, and the old dwarf companion recognizes it instantly as one of Lozier's early masterpieces. Turns out, Burge met the starving blacksmith in a forest months ago and traded some food for this very trinket. Louise is so moved she wants to treat him to a 5-day drinking binge, but Burge isn't exactly the partying type. Instead, she hands over a rare dwarven badge that grants him access to top-tier gear. He'll take that over alcohol any day. She's not messing around anymore and orders her companion to call for royal reinforcements immediately. The crazy hound is on the hunt, and she's not planning on letting Lozier slip through her fingers again. As they leave, Burge's mind is already on the real prize, the heart of a certain summoning beast. In his past life, the Demon King Draxon absorbed this heart and became an absolute monster of raw power. Right now, Burge is still a fresh Demon King, and a one-on-one with a fully geared Louise would be a coin toss. If he wants to survive this dimension and get his revenge, he needs to level up his powers, and fast. His plan is simple: send the crazy hound straight to the Beast Tower in Ormouth. Louise Werft is the perfect blunt instrument to throw at his enemies. Her target? The Demon King of Beasts himself, Draxon Doldorf. While the heroes and Draxon are busy killing each other, Burge will be the one walking away with the heart. After fusing with Mana's Phantom, the tower gets a massive upgrade with 2 brand new functions. First up is remote tower management, followed by a handy magic item transfer system. Burge's not sticking around, though. He puts Gordon Dyrick in charge while he heads out on business. The first order of business? Sending 10 vials of top-grade senile powder straight to Princess Ernanna Hilderin. Princess Ernanna Hilderin is stunned. She asks Gordon if he went all the way to the Aachen Kingdom for these. Meanwhile, Key Jespine is still stuck on the 4th floor, as long as she behaves herself. Gordon's also got orders to train the girl in swordsmanship, so she's actually useful later on. Next, Burge drops a legendary Hell Forge on the 1st floor for his resident craftsman. Lozier Friedrich is losing his mind. He's never seen gear this advanced and is ready to work his life away for Burge. Burge checks in on the Pearl Orcs next, and the numbers are looking great. They've unified 3 tribes and doubled their strength, enough to hunt most monsters in the mountains. Burge satisfied. He tells Gordon to keep things running smooth until he returns. Back in the human world, Burge is loving the convenience of remote management. He rings up Hero Cargill, who's a bit surprised by the perfect timing of the call. Hero Cargill reports that the Golden Moon Merchant Guild is now fully under their control. Turns out, being a member of the 10 Stars carries a lot of weight even after a failure. Burge has a new mission for his inside man. He needs a message passed along to Granada. The plan? Use the guild's funds to buy up every elf slave on the continent. The knight is confused, but he'll do it. Oh, and Burge sending over a gift, a notorious con man named Jettison who tried to scam Louise Werft. Burge gives Jettison a choice: work for him, or get erased by an assassin within the month. Jettison is absolutely terrified. He's definitely choosing the job over a coffin. Over at the training grounds, Granada gets the word. He can't believe Burge wants to buy all his people. He's gathered the elves as ordered, but the guild is starting to weigh heavy on him. He's happy to save them from human slavery, but dragging them into a demon king's grasp feels like a betrayal. The elf wonders if Burge gave him this specific mission just to mess with his head. The other knights are clueless. They don't get why they're suddenly learning elf swordsmanship. The vice captain is sweating buckets and already plotting a quick escape from this mess. Granada watches them, torn between loyalty and the fear of what's coming next. But he remembers the alternative. Life as a human slave is just a slow, miserable death. He decides being under the Demon King is way better and shuts down the talk of desertion immediately. He ties up the vice captain with magic vines, making it clear that nobody is leaving. Granada reports back to Hero Cargill that everything is under control and asks where the boss is. Hero Cargill mentions Burge went looking for treasure, which is probably code for something dangerous. Meanwhile, at the Ormuth Rainforest Kingdom, the atmosphere is getting tense. Princess Louise Werft is absolutely fuming. She's been searching for someone and she's out of patience. She's just received an ultimatum from the local leaders to move her troops out immediately. Louise realizes there's one place they haven't checked yet, the Beast Demon King's territory. She points toward the Beast Mountain, a place most people are too terrified to set foot in. Her advisor warns her it's suicide, but Louise Werft doesn't care about danger. She's convinced they won't dare touch her unless they want a world war with everyone using dwarf weapons. Plus, she reminds them that demon kings have been taken down in a single night before. There's precedent. She gives the order to march. If they don't follow, she'll pull their heads off herself. Deep in the Beast Tower, the local demon king gets some pretty bad news from his scouts. It turns out Louise Werft is marching straight into his region, and he is not happy about it. Draxon starts panicking, wondering if the crazy princess somehow found out about his secret prize. Deep beneath the volcano lies a massive source of pure mana that he's been dying to absorb for himself. If he takes that power, he'll be the strongest around, but first, he has to stop the dwarf princess from ruining his plan. Draxon orders his men to stop her at all costs, but with one condition: don't you dare kill the girl. On the mountain path, Louise finds her progress blocked by a very unwelcome familiar face. It's Max Ormuth, the second prince, and he's claiming this territory is off-limits to dwarves. He's got a creepy smile and warns Louise that she's risking her life just by being here. Louise isn't having it, she's not going back until she finds her missing blacksmith, Lozier Friedrich. Max Ormuth thinks dwarves are complete idiots, and he's clearly plotting something nasty. He remembers how kingdoms got rich off war supplies centuries ago and wants to trigger a new conflict. Louise realizes she's walked right into a trap as she's surrounded by Max's hidden soldiers. The prince drops his act, looking down on her as nothing more than a profitable liability. He gives the order to slaughter everyone, hoping to blame the demons and spark a massive war. Louise calls them all cowardly monkeys and prepares to swing her massive weapon in defiance. Watching from the shadows, the beastmen realize the dwarves are walking into a total massacre. Draxon realizes Max Ormuth is trying to frame him for the princess's murder. If Louise dies, it'll trigger a war he isn't ready for, so he orders his demons to charge in. A three-way battle breaks out in the forest as beastmen clash with the prince's soldiers. The jungle turns into a bloodbath as both sides fight for control over the dwarf princess. Louise's guards are struggling, realizing the terrain is completely in the enemy's favor. The princess is fuming and wants to take them all on herself, but her men beg her to escape. Pinned down by shields, Louise's frustration is hitting a boiling point as she's forced to retreat. Max Ormuth steps up with a glowing spear, ready to finish off the princess himself. Just as he's about to strike, a massive surge of purple demonic energy tears through the air. Max freezes. This isn't the wild mana of a beast, it's something much more refined and terrifying. From the branches above, Burge watches the humans play their petty, complicated games. Both Max and Louise are stunned into silence as they realize a new predator has arrived. Wearing a jamming mask to hide his face, Burge decides the Ormuth prince's time is finally up. The Ormuth soldiers charge in, terrified but determined. They've spotted a high-ranking demon in the trees. The Prince of Ormuth watches in shock. This wasn't part of the plan. Suddenly, Louise Werft tears through the ranks like a human hurricane, her massive axe claiming everything in its path. Louise is in a total frenzy, taunting the prince for looking away during a life-or-death duel. The prince can barely keep up. He's never seen a dwarf move with this kind of speed and ferocity. Above them, Burge looms in the sky, his presence radiating an overwhelming, dark pressure. The sudden spike in demonic energy paralyzes the prince. He's completely suppressed without even a fight. Louise takes the opening, lunging forward to finish what she started with the Ormuth royalty. But just as quickly as it appeared, the demonic aura vanishes into thin air, leaving the soldiers dazed. Louise is surrounded, but she doesn't care. She's ready to drag the prince straight to the afterlife. She roars her defiance, prepared to sacrifice everything just to take her enemy down. The elite guard moves in with rifles ready. They have to protect their highness at any cost. Watching from the shadows, Burge smirks. This chaos is exactly what he needed to keep Louise in the game. The bait is set. Now he just needs his target to bite. Draxon, the demon king of beasts. 5 minutes earlier at the Tower of Beasts, the air crackles with tension. Draxon, the massive wolf king, snaps to attention. He can feel an unfamiliar demonic energy nearby. He's livid. Another demon king has dared to send an elite into his territory without an invitation. The timing is far too suspicious. Draxon suspects a setup between the Ormith prince and this new intruder. He leaps onto the scene, demanding an update on the dwarf princess. His scouts report the princess is already surrounded by enemy soldiers. Draxon's eyes flash with rage. This is bad. If a full-scale war breaks out, he doesn't have the strength to stop it yet. The wolves try to explain themselves, but they're shaking in their boots. Louise handled the entire army by herself, and his troops couldn't even get close to save her. Draxon screams at his subordinates. He's surrounded by idiots. Word reaches him that Louise actually managed to kill the second prince of Ormith. If Draxon finishes off the survivors now, he'll be blamed for the whole mess. This isn't worth the points. He orders his men to let them live. He needs witnesses to prove he didn't start this bloodbath. He turns his focus back to the intruder. His pack still hasn't found a single trace of the demon. Draxon is disgusted by their failure. Apparently, he has to do everything himself. He prepares to use ultrasensory amplification. It's been a while, but he needs results. This technique sharpens his senses using demonic energy, allowing him to track even the stealthiest targets. There it is. He catches the lingering scent of an unfamiliar demon moving through the woods. He figures the intruder is chasing Louise and prepares to intercept. Draxon focuses on the volcano in the distance, ready to hunt. His subordinates point the way, and the Wolf King charges off into the forest. But midway, it hits him. He's been played like a fiddle. The whole clash was nothing but bait. The real goal was to pull him away from the volcano. He looks back in horror. The enemy isn't after the princess, they're after the summoning beast. Deep in the lava, the summoning beast's heart pulses with power. It's completely exposed. Burge stands at the edge of the magma, his wings spread wide. Everything went exactly to plan. His team is already hard at work, draining the lava to reveal the prize hidden beneath. Burge shows off his dragon scales, bragging that they let him swim in lava like it's a kiddie pool. A massive tiger beast tries to sneak up on him. Burge stops the attack in his tracks. The beast realizes it's dealing with a high-ranked demon and starts sweating bullets. Burge grabs the oversized cat and tells it they're going on a little field trip. They dive headfirst into the lava. Talk about a warm welcome. Floating in the heat, Burge is perfectly comfortable while the world burns around him. He recalls his past life when Draxon absorbed this beast's heart and became an absolute monster. He can't help but smirk. He's about to rob his rival blind and love every second of it. He discovers the true prize, the massive, glowing corpse of a legendary phoenix. Flashback to his academy days, where he spent his time reading up on these godlike birds. Phoenixes are cosmic travelers that can hop between dimensions like it's nothing. History books say any demon king lucky enough to absorb one becomes a legend in the realm. Burge dives deeper, sarcastically thanking Draxon for doing all the hard work in his last life. He's always been jealous of this power. In this timeline, he's the one claiming the top-tier loot. Meanwhile, Draxon is losing his mind, wondering which bottom feeder is messing with his treasure. He knows a rookie like Burge couldn't have pulled this off. He suspects someone far more capable. The Wolf King goes into a full-blown tantrum, shredding everything in his path. He arrives at the cave, where the bear guards are way too slow to realize they're in danger. He just smashes through the front door. He knows it couldn't be Ygr or Reyna either. He checks the lava pit, desperate to see if his precious summoning beast is still there. The guard stammers out that the tiger beast just decided to go for a swim. Draxon puts the pieces together. Someone is actually trying to steal the phoenix right under his nose. He's seeing red. The disrespect is reaching all-time highs. He screams Jason's name into the void, convinced the hero is the one behind this heist. But deep in the magma, the phoenix's power is already starting to awaken. Burge wakes up in the middle of nowhere, wondering where the heck he ended up after that blast. He was supposed to stash the phoenix's body, but the mana just got absorbed into him instead. The volcanic eruption sent him flying, and now everything is a mess. He's a literal demon king, yet something feels off. The local wildlife is swarming him like he's some kind of Disney princess. Get lost, he growls. Seriously, what is this strange vibe? He doesn't even feel like himself anymore. A quick dip in the lake reveals his hair is now red. Over at Ormith Palace, the mood is way grimmer. Louise, the dwarf princess, mourns the brave warriors who fell protecting them from the beast demons. The king isn't buying the honor in death crap. To him, it's just a waste. He's ready for blood. He demands the Heroes Guild prepare a full-scale execution of the beast demon king. The decree echoes through the city as the war machine starts turning. Hillen Hargill reports in, barely recognizing his master with a new look. Burge ignores the confusion and asks for the update. The King of Ormouth is officially planning a hero's journey. The squad leader is Rosal Charnt, a top-tier flame mage and 10 stars hero. She's joined by Pullav Disrod, another 10-star and martial arts freak who reached the top with pure muscle. The plan is simple, assemble in Ormouth and strike the Tower of Beasts immediately. Out of 200 heroes, only 2 are 10 stars. Burge finds that pretty underwhelming. But it's not just about fighting. There are puppeteers pulling strings behind the scenes. Apparently, some humans don't actually want the Demon King to die. Why? Money, of course. A Demon King's tower is a treasure trove, and their bodies are premium crafting materials. It's too profitable to destroy. Human society is a lot messier than Burge expected. Conflict of interest is a real pain. He decides to join the journey himself. He'll even provide the Beast Demon King's weakness. But there's a catch, Hillen has to be the one to deal the killing blow and absorb the power. Hillen laughs it off, asking if Burge will even be able to control him if he gets that strong. Burge doesn't blink. He knows a mere 2 Demon Kings worth of power won't be enough to touch him. Time to wrap things up. He signals Gordon to speak up. The aide reports an emergency convocation of Demon Kings called by the Tower of Beasts. Gordon is barely keeping it together seeing Burge's new look, but the message is clear, a meeting is mandatory. Draxon is really doing this? Burge surprised he'd call for a gathering right now. At the Tower of Beasts, the atmosphere is as heavy as the name suggests. The other Demon Kings arrive, complaining that the place reeks like always. Tough crowd. They're told to wait upstairs while the last attendee arrives. This better be worth it. Draxon is getting impatient. Both Burge and Jason are nowhere to be found. If Burge doesn't show up soon, he's going to end up on the suspects list. That's not a good look. Burge knows he's running out of time. He needs to move, and he needs to move fast. Gordon suggests using a portal from Ormouth, but Burge is already halfway there. Wait, he's moving on his own. Gordon is losing his mind. Don't do that, he screams. If he shows up on foot without a portal, people are going to ask questions. Arriving late is a death sentence too. He needs to hit his own tower, then portal over with Gordon. It's a tight schedule. He pushes himself to the limit. If he's more than 10 minutes late, it's game over. Faster. The Phoenix's heart pulses inside him, radiating a power he can barely contain. Suddenly, massive wings of flame burst from his back, lighting up the sky. Burge's caught off guard. He wasn't even trying to use his mana yet. This heart, it's not just mana. It feels alive. No wonder the animals were swarming him earlier. He's like a walking magnet. Feathers of light scatter everywhere as he blasts off to his tower. He takes off like a rocket, but the speed is way more than he can handle. A literal crash landing. Not exactly the graceful entrance he was hoping for. He made it, but taming this Phoenix power is going to be a total headache. He regroups with Gordon at the gate. The Phoenix finally burns out and goes dormant. The plan is simple, they're getting to the Tower of Beasts right now. Meanwhile, in the city of Ormouth, the main army is gearing up for war. The soldiers are buzzing. Everyone's trying to catch a glimpse of the legendary Rosal Charnt. She's basically an idol to these guys. Everyone wants an autograph or just a look. But Rosal has zero patience for riffraff bothering her during a mission. Then, Hillen Cargill makes his grand entrance. The man who supposedly beat the Demon King of Lust. He's acting the part of the noble hero, ready to lend his strength to the cause. But Rosal isn't buying it. She knows exactly how fake his big victory really was. She calls him out for being a lucky loser. Hillen's cool facade is starting to crack. He tries to laugh it off, but inside he's panicking. She knows too much. If she spills the beans about the Demon King of Lust, his reputation is toast. Rosal makes her stance clear, the Beast Demon King's head belongs to her. Hillen smiles, but he's determined to steal that glory for himself. Let the race begin. Burge Diaz and Jason arrive at the meeting spot through a portal. They're greeted by the host, the massive Wolf King Draxon. Burge stays cool, noting they're right on time despite the tension. This is the top floor of the Tower of Beasts, the site of their meeting. Yuger, a rocky giant, wonders why an emergency meeting was even called. Jason asks if this has anything to do with the hero's journey in Ormouth. Draxon decides to be blunt with his fellow demon kings. He reveals a traitor sent a high-ranking demon into his territory. They stole the Phoenix Corpse and killed a prince that triggered a full hero's journey. Reyna, Soldian and Jason exchange looks as Draxon's story gets crazier. The Wolf King is livid, he's not planning on dying alone. To hunt the traitor, he's going to buy the key to the black box. Every tower has a black box that records every single action taken. It's usually ignored because it consumes a ton of energy points. Burge realizes he's in deep trouble if Draxon opens his box. Draxon explains he needs permission from each tower owner to look. He glares at the group, asking if anyone has a reason to say no. Burge knows Draxon is onto something and he needs to play along. Jason and Reyna Soldian immediately grant their formal permission. Yuger doesn't hesitate to give his approval for the search either. Burge has no choice but to raise his hand and agree with the rest. Draxon is pleased, planning to share the results with everyone later. That key is a massive gamble that costs millions of points. Draxon is putting his life on the line just to catch a traitor. He'll buy the key as soon as the current hero's journey ends. Burge walks off with Gordon, knowing his time is running out. He needs to take care of Draxon before his secrets are exposed. First, he decides to head back and check on his tower's defenses. He starts at the first floor to see how his floor boss is doing. Lozier Friedrich is having a blast with his massive new magic cannon. The dwarf is absolutely obsessed with his new masterpiece. He starts rambling about how it fires condensed multi-element mana rounds. Burge and Gordon just watch the guy lose his mind over a tank. Lozier promises his king he'll make even bigger weapons. Next stop is the second floor, guarded by Key Jespine. She greets her king with a massive wave of blue energy. Burge doesn't even flinch, stopping the blade with his bare hand. He notes that her fiery personality hasn't changed one bit. Keed isn't done, charging back in for another round of combat. She dives from the ceiling with her crescent moon shatter technique. Burge just watches the flashy display with a confident smirk. He admits she's improved, but she still needs way more training. Keed is losing her mind because Burge just tanked her ultimate move like it was a fly. A massive shockwave rocks the tower, but the Demon King doesn't even budge. Burge stands over the defeated boss, asking why Keed was demoted to the second floor. Gordon explains they had to shuffle the bosses because the princess is busy summoning. Up on the fourth floor, they're burning through rare materials for a high-level ritual. Princess Ernana Hilderin is leading the charge, putting all her mana on the line. She calls out to the spirits, begging for someone to answer her summon. A massive water spirit emerges, looking like she just stepped out of a high-end spa. Neroniel is actually impressed someone managed to summon her into a demon's tower. The high-ranking spirit formally acknowledges the little human standing before her. She declares Ernana as her sole companion, officially sealing the deal. A blinding flash of light marks the end of the contract ritual. The drain is too much for the princess, and she starts to collapse from exhaustion. Burge swoops in and catches her, having watched the whole show from the sidelines. She wakes up in his arms, looking completely drained but successful. Burge actually cracks a smile and tells her she did a good job. Ernana blushes, thanking him for the high-grade powder that made it possible. Then she hits him with a casual, "I love you," out of nowhere. Her brain takes a second to process what just happened, and she's instantly horrified. She starts panicking, swearing she didn't say it and begging him to believe her. Turns out the spirit is a total prankster who's just reading her mind out loud. Meet Neroniel, a high-ranking water spirit with a massive addiction to romance novels. She's already trying to set them up, and Burge is already over it. Ernana is officially malfunctioning. The dating rumors are hitting her hard. Neroniel is loving the drama. Word of their pure love is already trending in the spirit realm. The spirit keeps teasing while Burge stays focused. He's got bigger things on his mind. Burge cuts the jokes and asks for a status check. He needs to know what he looks like to a high-ranking spirit. He lets his mana flare, testing the mask he's built. Neroniel is floored. The demonic energy is gone, replaced by unbelievably pure mana. It's official, the disguise is perfect. Not even the heroes will see him coming. Now that he can hide in plain sight, he's going after the demon king of beasts. Ernana can't believe what she's hearing. He's actually planning to kill another demon king. Burge takes off, leaving the garden behind to start his hunt. Gordon is screaming through the link. This isn't just dangerous, it's practically treason for a demon king. Burge doesn't care. He's heading straight for Draxon's territory. Gordon is having a full-blown existential crisis. He can't wrap his head around Burge's logic. The advisor's head is spinning as they fly through the air. Burge keeps it simple: if Draxon opens that black box, Burge is a dead man anyway. Gordon tries a different angle. He reminds Burge about the dimensional energy that rejects outsiders. Dimensions are naturally hostile to anyone who doesn't belong. It's a literal crushing force that nerfs any demon entering this world. A level 666 demon gets dropped to level 1 just by stepping onto the wrong plane. That's why heroes have the advantage. They're chosen by the dimension to hunt the weakened intruders. The only solution? Building a demon king's tower to act as a bridge. These towers pull energy directly from the demon realm to restore a king's power. Without that connection, a demon king is just a glorified target. Height equals power. The taller the tower, the more energy it can channel. Gordon points out the massive power gap. Draxon has 13 floors while Burge only had 5. In Draxon's territory, Burge is walking into a meat grinder. Inside that 13-story tower, Draxon is essentially a god. Victory is literally impossible. Burge knows he's not at full strength yet. The Phoenix heart still hasn't fully integrated. But he has a plan that doesn't involve fighting alone. He's going to play the hero role to the end. Under the name File, he's joining the raid. He arrives at Ormouth, where the hero's journey has turned into a total disaster. The survivors are being chased down by beast demons as they try to cover the retreat. Cargill is on the ground, doing his best to keep his dying soldiers alive. Burge walks into the camp of broken men and asks for the sitrep. He doesn't introduce himself as a king. He's just File now. Cargill looks exhausted. He explains that they actually had a chance at first. They found the Demon King's weak point and went for the kill. Everything was going according to plan, and Cargill signaled for the finishing blow. Rosal Chant was ready to unleash hell with her magic. But something went wrong. Rosal took a hit she couldn't recover from. The beast lunged, and the raid fell apart in an instant. With their strongest mage down, the heroes had no choice but to drag her out and run. Cargill breaks the news. The hero's journey didn't just stall, it crashed and burned. File takes it all in with a smile. The corruption in this world is actually impressive. He laughs at the irony. If things keep going like this, everyone is completely screwed. Cargill points out they did some damage, but their mage took the brunt of it. File isn't done yet. He knows they have a small window to strike before Draxon recovers. He calls out the betrayal. Pulav Disrod was supposed to have their backs. Rosal Charn steps forward, fueled by pure spite and a missing eye. She exposes the truth: the top heroes are corporate puppets who profit from the war. File greets the legendary mage. He knows a late arrival is better than no arrival. Rosal vows vengeance. She's not stopping until the Demon King of Beasts is dead. Cargill is more practical. They have no potions, no supplies, and zero morale. File casually reveals a massive stash of top-tier potions he had, just in case. Rosal is skeptical. No ordinary person walks around with that much high-grade juice. But then she feels it, a warmth so pure it's practically divine. File looks at his hand. He knows healing their flesh is only half the battle. The soldiers around them are shells of their former selves. Hope is a dead concept. If he wants an army, he has to give them a reason to stand up again. He calls out the Phoenix, deciding it's time for a little show and tell. Rosal is absolutely stunned. The legendary beast isn't just a myth anymore. File drops the mysterious act and introduces himself properly. He stands tall as the owner of the Phoenix, wreathed in brilliant golden flames. His goal is simple: he's here to end the Demon King of Beasts once and for all. Rosal is in shock. She's looking at a summoning beast that shouldn't even exist. The survivors realize this is the same overwhelming presence they saw earlier. She can feel his mana, it's powerful enough to rival the legendary 10-star heroes. With a new savior in front of them, the broken heroes find their will to fight. Draxon Doldov sits on his throne, brooding over the massive amount of demonic energy spent on the tower. He pulls out the expensive black box key, his only shot at the truth. With a click, Draxen opens the box, ready to see what secrets it's hiding. A projection of records floods the room, showing Draxen everything he wasn't supposed to know. His eyes widen in disbelief as he realizes the data in the black box can't be faked. Draxen gasps, realizing a bastard has been manipulating the system this whole time. A knight rushes in, panicking that the heroes have already reached their floor. They're not alone this time, a new 10-star hero is leading the charge. It's Ralph Schmitz, the man who thinks he's the main character of this raid. Ralph Schmitz, the shield master himself, looking like he just stepped out of a shampoo commercial. 1 hour ago in Ormouth, the hero's journey was just kicking off. The lower-tier heroes are pumped, thinking Draxen is toast with their team's combined power. They draw their swords, blinded by the promise of the Beast Demon King's loot. Burge Diaz aka File manifests the Phoenix Mana, letting the fodder believe they actually have a chance. Burge watches them cheer, wondering if he can truly control this power in the heat of battle. Rosal Charn thinks 2 10-star heroes aren't enough, wishing they had more backup. Perfect timing, because the useful hero she was hoping for just showed up. Ralph Schmitz makes his grand entrance, hauling around the strongest shield in the business. The Vanguard commander doesn't waste time, charging straight into a pack of wolves. Ralph blocks their strikes effortlessly, treating this life-or-death battle like a warm-up. His shield is literally a giant, golden face that looks just as smug as he does. A blast of light erupts as the shield reflects the impact, vaporizing the monsters instantly. The ground is scorched, leaving the path clear for the rest of the raid team. Ralph Schmitz is ranked second among the 10-star tanks for a reason, the guy is a walking fortress. Burge watches from the sidelines, knowing exactly how annoying that reflecting shield can be. He hasn't forgotten the day he was defeated, or the faces of the heroes who stood over him. Ralph was right there in the crowd, laughing at Burge's misery. Burge wants to tear him apart right now, but Draxen is the priority for the moment. Rosal is just as pissed, thinking they could have won easily if Ralph had just arrived sooner. She grits her teeth, hating how Ralph's arrogance always messes with her plans. The group clears the first floor and heads straight for the Demon King's chamber. Rosal is surprised by Burge's sudden seriousness. He warns her not to underestimate Draxen, especially since every Demon King has a lethal trump card. Burge knows if Draxen used the key, the hero's defense won't be enough to stop the fallout. They finally reach the 13th floor, the heart of the Beast Tower. But the room is eerily quiet, there's not a single underling in sight. Draxen is waiting for them, looking completely unfazed by the bugs invading his home. Rosal senses a terrifying density of demonic energy coming from him. Draxen smirks, revealing that he's been busy preparing a little something for all of them at once. He holds up a concentrated core of his army's power and prepares to swallow it whole. Burge realizes Draxen found a loophole: if you can't have underlings, just absorb them. Draxen's eyes glow with murderous intent as he vows to kill them all right here. Burge Diaz watches as the beast prepares to unleash hell. This is the moment everything changes. Draxen Doldorf lets out a roar that shakes the very foundation of the tower. He's not holding back anymore. The pressure is so intense it's practically physical, crushing everyone in its path. Draxen's power-up is complete. He's evolved into a nightmare that would make most heroes retire on the spot. Ralph Schmitz and Rosal Charnt are in shock. Ralph's famous reflection shield was bypassed like it was made of cardboard. A close-up of the Beast King's face, absolute predatory hunger. These guys are way out of their league. Draxen looms over the heroes like a god of death, his demonic aura poisoning the very air. The heroes can barely stand. This demonic energy feels like actual poison choking their throats. The rank-and-file heroes are collapsing, gasping for air as their lungs give out. It's a slaughter. Time for Burge to step up. He activates advanced defense magic, Protect Phoenix Ver, and manifests massive fiery wings. The weaker heroes are safe inside the barrier, crying tears of joy that they aren't dead yet. Thank God for Burge. Burge tells them to stay put. He's not being nice, he just doesn't want them getting in the way while he works. The fire barrier is the only thing keeping the Beast King's aura at bay. It's the only place in the room where you can still breathe. Out of the dozens of heroes who came here, only 4 are left standing to face the Demon King. Talk about a bad investment. Draxen stares down the survivors, his eyes landing on the one hero with the most annoying mana signature. Draxen pauses. He recognizes that aura. It's familiar, almost like an old friend. Or a bitter rival. The Beast King growls in realization. He knows exactly who is hiding behind that mask. Burge just gives him a cold smirk. The secret is out, and the real fight is finally about to begin. Draxen Doldorf lets out a roar that rattles the whole tower, screaming for Burge. He's not playing games. The Beast King dives in to shred anyone in his path. But Burge just holds up a finger and hits the mute button with a silence domain. Rosal Charnt is loving it. He didn't just kill the sound, he's hiding their mana. Sage's chains erupt from the ground, locking the king in place before he can move. Draxen just laughs. He thinks a few glowing chains can hold back a real demon king. He flexes his muscles and the magic bindings shatter like they were made of glass. Now he's truly pissed. He shifts his focus to Diaz, turning the fight into a hunt. Burge just smirks. "Talk all you want," he says, "I can't hear a single word." Draxen is fuming. Without his roar, half his combat tricks are basically useless. The rest of the team can barely believe it. Burge is making this look way too easy. The pace picks up as Burge pulls out the phoenix wings to match the boss's speed. Every clash sends shockwaves through the chamber, turning the floor into rubble. Hillen and Rosal are struggling just to keep their eyes on the fight. It's too fast. Draxen lunges with red energy claws, screaming that he doesn't care about their plan. Burge weaves through the attacks, his wings leaving a trail of fire in the dark. The Beast King is convinced they're dead meat, but Burge is just leading him on. Flashback, Burge tells the crew that Draxen's speed is actually his biggest flaw. He tells them to ignore the bulk and target the legs to ground the predator. Hillen is worried he'll miss, but Burge promises a signal that'll stop him cold. Present, Draxen thinks he's finally cornered the pathetic worm in midair. He swipes for the kill, but Burge is already moving before the claws even land. He pulls out Armani's orb. This is the signal the team has been waiting for. Draxen is still talking trash, unimpressed by a glowing purple ball. Suddenly fire detonates into a flash of pure white light, blinding everyone. The Beast King is caught completely off guard. Flashback, Burge tells Rosal that her turn comes right after the flash. He tells her to channel all the rage from her lost eye into one final blow. Now, Rosal stands ready. It's time for the beast to pay for what he took. She's putting every last drop of mana into this shot. It's all or nothing. Satellite cannon. A massive pillar of fire vaporizes everything in its path. Draxen is caught right in the center, his screams finally breaking through the silence. The blast is so big it looks like a nuke went off inside the tower room. As the smoke begins to clear, the team stands their ground, ready for anything. Draxen is still alive, looking like Sukuna after that hollow purple. Burge knows it's not over. A boss this level doesn't just die from one hit. Half his face is burned to the bone, but Draxen is still standing tall. He gathers his remaining mana for one final, desperate struggle for survival. The Beast King goes berserk, his claws shredding the Shield Knight's defense. Blood sprays as Rosal takes a hit, the dying king refusing to go down quietly. Draxen declares himself a vassal of Arcane, swearing he'll conquer the world. Draxen screams Burge's name, watching him zip around with those stolen wings. Burge mocks him, saying the king has been reduced to a rabid beast. Draxen is absolutely fuming, lunging forward with a desperate roar for him to shut up. Burge just gives a cold smirk. He hasn't even shown off his full power yet. He gathers the phoenix's flames, ready to return them to sender. A massive fire blast incinerates the air, swallowing the demon king whole. Draxen is half-cooked but still screaming, swearing he won't go down this easily. Suddenly the Shield Knight appears behind him. In his desperation, he leaves his tail wide open. Big mistake for a predator. Rosal Charnt is bleeding out on the ground, but she's still got one last spell left. She triggers the Sage's chains, binding the beast in place once and for all. With the boss pinned, Hillen Cargill begins charging his final lightning strike. Draxen lets out one last scream of rage as his fate is finally sealed. Hillen unleashes the final blow, a massive bolt of lightning that ends the fight. Burge watches the king fall. Farewell, Draxen. I'll make good use of your power. The demon king's head rolls through the dirt like a discarded trophy. Hillen Cargill stands tall while his allies celebrate their supposed win. Hillen raises his sword, soaking in the cheers of the surviving soldiers. The guy is high on the attention, already dreaming of being the greatest hero. But there's no time for a party, the Tower of Beasts is coming down. File watches the carnage, knowing the real battle just ended. He wonders if a guy like Draxen even deserves a second chance at life. It doesn't matter now. The red-haired warrior turns his back on the ruins. The massive tower finally gives up, collapsing into a heap of rubble. As the dust settles, the sun breaks through the thick forest canopy. Rosal isn't buying the act, calling total BS on Hillen's heroism. The mage is still suspicious of how the fight actually went down. She didn't mind taking the corpse, but she's got a lot of questions. A knight's shout breaks the tension. The captives have been found. The kidnapped royals are scattered on the ground, finally safe. Rosal rushes over to find a purple-haired girl sleeping like a baby. Meet Lavinia Aachen, the third princess and the kingdom's resident weirdo. Rosal's brain short-circuits when she realizes the princess is totally fine. Turns out, Lavinia wasn't a prisoner, she was there to buy monster parts. The princess nods casually, confirming she was trading cash for chimera materials. File watches from a distance as Rosal drags the reckless royal away. He realizes this princess is a complete nutcase who treated a demon king like a supplier. Meanwhile, the Heroes Guild elders are holding a very private meeting. They're freaking out over a mysterious Phoenix Master who stole the show. Nobody knows who this hero is, and the guild hates loose cannons. It's time to tighten the leash on any hero starting to step out of line. Their top priority? Unmasking the identity of this rogue Phoenix Master. Over at the royal banquet, the atmosphere is a lot more festive. The king gives a big speech, thanking the heroes for saving his kids. Rosal is stuck at the party, bored out of her mind and nursing a drink. Ralph Schmitz walks up, looking sharp but feeling just as out of place. The mage scans the room, wondering where the Hellfile disappeared to. A group of heroes is desperate to find the man who actually saved their skins. Ralph is stunned to realize that File just vanished without a word. Cargo confirms their savior is long gone, leaving them hanging. High in the snowy mountains, Burge is finally back at his home base. He returns to his true form, shocking his mate who's been waiting. The poor elf is having a total meltdown over the fallout of Draxen's death. Burge takes his seat, knowing the other demon kings will be calling soon. Despite the victory, the king stares into the distance, feeling unsatisfied. He knows he only won because Draxen was already weakened by the journey. Burge reflects on his final blow, realizing he's still not quite at his full potential. He knows the Phoenix's power is strong, but he needs to master it to truly dominate. Just as he's thinking, a hologram of Archduke Arcane pops up with an urgent call. The Archduke wants to hold an emergency meeting at his tower immediately. The news is out, the Demon King Draxen Doldorf has officially been taken down. Burge just smirks, knowing full well he's the one who actually pulled the trigger. He's genuinely surprised when Arcane tells him a new Demon King has already appeared. Things are moving way faster than expected, and even the high ranks are on edge. Just half a day? That's some serious speed for a replacement to step into the throne. Burge isn't worried about being caught, there's zero evidence linking him to the kill. He arrives at the conference hall, walking into a room full of dangerous players. He's immediately approached by a woman who's been dying to meet the famous king. She introduces herself as Vivian Blunt, the queen of the Blood Moon tribe. Burge keeps it cold and professional, barely acknowledging her as he takes his seat. Vivian is already watching him like a hawk, sensing something different about him. In a flashback, the head demon king is skeptical, refusing to believe Draxen went down so easily. The muscular king orders a thorough investigation into Burge's recent activities. Vivian agrees, if anyone is going to spit on the demon king standards, it's him. The succubus queen decides it's time for a little warm-up to test her target. Jason gets the meeting started, unaware of the games being played in the room. Vivian thinks this whole situation is fun, especially the drama of a king's death. She's not interested in the politics, she's got her eyes on a much bigger prize. The pink-haired demon leans in, turning up the charm to maximum power. She gets right in Burge's space, curious about what kind of demon he really is. Vivian drops the invite, asking the black-haired king to spend the night with her. Burge doesn't even hesitate, he slaps her hand away and calls her an ugly bitch. The succubus queen's brain literally breaks as she hears the ultimate insult.